Hey, how's it going, Paula?
Good.
We're just kind of doing some technical snafu-y stuff here. There's a lot of people, so going through them.
Do you see Rachel and Tiffany?
Yeah, so Rachel, we've got in, and they should be able to unmute themselves.
And
And yeah,
Tiffany
we're
had
just,
a last minute conflict, so she might be about 3 to 5 minutes late. I apologize.
okay.
I'll keep an eye. What's your last name?
McBride.
Okay, I'll keep an eye out for.
Hi, it's Rach. I'm
Hey.
here. I'm here.
Yay. Great, Rachel. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Well, great. And Paula, did you want to, so we are recording, and did you want to go ahead and start your screen share, and we'll get started in just a minute or two?
Sure, that's a good idea.
Okay.
Um,
So thanks for your patience, everyone. We're going to be starting in just a minute or two. We're getting kind of set up. The format for today is we're going to start with our loan program information and overview, and then we're going to be moving on to the RFQ. So stay tuned, and we'll be starting that shortly. Let's see, Nick, it looks like Paula's back, great.
so this is Paula. Sorry, I was trying to close the clutter on my computer and I closed myself out of the presentation. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Screen. Start now. Okay. Okay, can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Perfect.
All right. So it looks like we are, Paula, are you and your team ready for us to start?
We are.
Okay, it looks like we have 91 people in the call today, or in the meeting today, so we'll just go ahead and start. Everybody, I want to introduce you to Paula Groves and the Elevate Impact Sacramento team. They are our loan servicers and underwriters for our core capital loan program. So they're going to be coming to talk to you today about basically what the loan program is. That is, as we've talked before, the GoBiz grant that we got. It's a really exciting opportunity for people, and I'm really hoping that you all will kind of learn about this, learn what's available out there, and really take advantage of this to help build your business. The goal of this, of course, is to have an evergreen fund so that, you know, wherever you are in your business right now, there's a place for you to go and get funds you need. So whether that's now, in 2 years, 4 years, 5 years, and that's really the reason for this being a loan program, that we can get that money back and then loan it out again, and then get it back and loan it out again, so that, you know, when you start one business and you're expanding and you want to start a second one, that money will be available. So with that kind of brief introduction, I'll turn it over to Paula Groves. So thank you, Paula.
Thank you. And thank you to the core participants who are interested in this program. It is an extremely exciting opportunity. As you've probably heard, there are programs like this in other cities throughout the state. It's really fantastic that the state of California is putting support behind social equity businesses in this way. So my name is Paula Groves. I am the manager of the Elevate Impact Sacramento. The team that will be joining us on the call today includes myself, Rachel Bond, Tiffany McBride, and Laura Herrera. We are actually the team that launched the original social equity program in Oakland, and we are also providing services in Mendocino and Los Angeles. And we're just so happy that we're able to share our expertise and help people get businesses collectively. We've helped entrepreneurs throughout the country raise over $1 billion in both loan capital as well as equity capital. We collectively have over 250 years of experience in helping entrepreneurs, underrepresented entrepreneurs in particular is our core competency and expertise. And we are happy to be able to share these levels of skills with you, the social equity entrepreneurs in Sacramento. So I don't know, Rachel and Tiffany or Laura, is there anything you'd like to add about the work you've already been doing in Sacramento? Rachel?
Yes, thanks, Paula. Hi, everybody. My name is Rachel Bond, and I have lived in California for 20 years, Oakland the past 11. I come from a cannabis background, and it's a real pleasure to be here and be a part of the Elevate Sacramento team. I've had just an amazingly positive time so far as an underwriter and loan officer since we launched the application program. I feel a real dynamic energy happening in the city, and I have been working in cannabis since 2005. I worked as a director at a consulting firm where we launched licenses across the country, and I have a broad experience in reading multiple business plans, multiple applications for licenses, and I am absolutely thrilled at what I'm seeing with the businesses in Sacramento. So thanks so much for allowing me to be a part of progress for the industry, for this country, and for the city of Sacramento.
Great. Laura, is there anything you'd like to add?
Just that I'm really grateful that Sacramento, as a city and as a community, is able to use this program to build their cannabis industry. So nice to meet you all, and I'm glad to be helping you with these loans and grants.
Great, thank you. And Tiffany, I will let you share a little bit about yourself when we get to your slides in the presentation. So why don't I start off with describing what the loan program is and a little bit about how it works. So just to be very clear, the initial loan that someone can apply for, if they do not yet have a lease, is $25,000. If you do have a lease, the maximum amount that you can apply for in your first loan is $50,000. And then we do allow for follow-on loans in increments of $25,000 up for a total maximum loan size of $125,000. But I just want to say again that the first loan you can apply for is $25,000 without a lease and $50,000 with a lease. And then you would have to reapply in order to get the full $125,000. The reason the program is structured that way is we want to make sure that we develop a strong relationship between the entrepreneur and the city of Sacramento with regards to repayment practices. We think it's very important that you demonstrate that you not only can receive the loan and deploy the loan, but also repay the loan. As Davina mentioned, this is an evergreen program, and the money that you repay is going to be used to launch other cannabis businesses. So we want to make sure that you have a repayment history before you get to the maximum loan size. So that's why the program has been structured in this way. And by the way, we are going to take questions at the end. If you want to put questions in the box, in the chat box as you think about them, please do, but we will be opening it up to questions at the end of the presentation. So thank you. In terms of the loan features, first of all, you have to have core status with the city of Sacramento in order to apply for the loan. You will have received that through our partners, which Tiffany will talk about in just a moment. There also, as you all know, there is no interest rate on the loan. It's interest free, so the only thing that you have to pay back is principal. Your principal payments, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a moment. And then repayments will start approximately 1 month after the funding of the loan. And we'll talk about the funding process a little bit later in the presentation. In order to receive the follow-on loan amounts that I mentioned in increments of $25,000, you have to do 3 things. 1, you have to provide receipts showing how you spent the initial loan that you received. And we'd like to see receipts totaling 70% of the previous loan amount that you received. The reason this is important is because the state is very interested in understanding how entrepreneurs are using the money. So we have to actually report back to the state what expenditures that entrepreneurs have been able to spend money on in terms of helping to launch and grow their businesses. The second requirement is that you are not delinquent and that you've made on-time loan payments. Again, the goal is to recapture money so that we can launch new businesses in the future. And finally, you have to be compliant with all of your licenses and your permits and your taxes. Those are the requirements in order to receive a follow-on loan. In terms of how you can use the money, there's a variety of things. All of these are standard things that any startup business would use to launch or to grow their business: accounting fees, architect fees, equipment and furniture, insurance, legal fees, rent, state licensing fees. If you are doing build out and want to bring your space into compliance, you can use funding for that. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a moment. What you cannot use the money for, is you cannot use the money for any unlicensed contractor business. You cannot use the money to buy unlicensed inventory. This is also meant for businesses that are actually operating in the cannabis industry. So we don't want you to put money into businesses that do not serve the cannabis industry. You can also use the money for you cannot use the money for the purchase of personal property such as cars or homes, etc. You can't use the money to loan to another business or invest in another business, and you cannot use the money to engage in prohibited operations as specified in the cannabis state regulations. We do require that you sign a statement that says you will use the money for expenditures in accordance with the use of proceeds as stated in the core capital program guidelines, as I just went through. And there's another thing that I want to make sure people understand, that, you know, so much of the funding might be used to actually acquire a lease and build out a space. And if that's how you choose to spend your loan funds, it's perfectly acceptable. But you need to understand that if for some reason you lose your lease, you're still obligated to repay the loan. This is a very important point. Unfortunately, we've had situations in Oakland where entrepreneurs have used the money to build out the space, and then they had falling out, if you will, with the landlord, and ended up losing the lease. And unfortunately, even though the space was built out and the landlord gets to keep all of those improvements, the borrower still has to repay the equity loan. So be very mindful and thoughtful about how you choose to spend the money and what you can negotiate with the landlord. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the lease once we in Tiffany's portion of the presentation. So with that, let me just make sure. Tiffany, have you been able to join? Bear with me 1 second. Tiffany had a conflict. Rachel, can I ask you to take over walking through the prerequisites associated with applying for a loan in Sacramento?
Oh yeah, sure, Paula. Very happy to help. Okay, so basically there are a couple tools that we use in order to evaluate your application as underwriters. And there's a checklist, and then there's an assessment scorecard. And so on the checklist basically outlines the various steps that you go through when you're applying for funding. You want to, of course, complete the application online. And through that application, we're going to verify your course status. So you want to be able to submit that email that verifies your course status. We want to make sure that you have a bank account, and this is based on really historical data coming straight out of the first city to be the recipient of the Go Biz funds, and that's Oakland. Banks have these investigative units that are watching very carefully how this money is being spent. And we want to make sure that you are set up with a bank account that will be able to do business with you. You'll be able to cash your check from the city of Sacramento and with no problem. So make sure that you've got a good solid bank account, a copy of your government issued ID. We also we'll be reviewing personal financial statement and your most recent tax returns. we're going to be looking at your business organization documents. So if you're an LLC, that would be your, let's see, your C Corp filing would be your articles of incorporation. And then your articles of organization would be if you were an LLC. We also want to be able to see who the owners are of your business. So making sure that any owners that are more than 20% owners of the business, we also require that we see who those folks are. So submitting IDs of those parties. Completing a monthly financial projections for a 12-month period. And this is something that's really critical. We want to be able to see that you are adequately accounting for what's ahead financially. And we certainly offer technical assistance too. If you've never put something like that together before, I'm always happy to walk people through how to set up a 12-month financial projection spreadsheet. And really we ask for that because we want to see month by month what expenses you anticipate are going to hit for you. It's really critical right now, especially for small businesses and certainly for entrepreneurs. And again, we offer a lot of support in that area. Also making sure that you've got a use of proceeds statement, and that's your budget for your funding. We want to be able to see how you plan on spending the funds. And we want to make sure that part of that budget, we do a 6-month set aside for your loan repayment. And then we offer really very informed advice about where we think you should be spending at what stage in your business. So we work with you on the development of your budget.
Great.
How am I doing so far, Paula?
You're doing perfect. You're doing perfect.
Okay, great.
And Tiffany, whenever you jump on, just please let us know. Go ahead.
Okay,
she was having technical issues, so please continue.
Okay, right on. So, you know, one of the biggest areas for everybody, and we'll talk about it always, is your business location. And while you are not required to have a solidified, fully executed lease for a business location in order to receive funding, we want to make sure that your location is in the right area that's zoned appropriately, so that we're going to ask confirmation that the planning division has said, has given the big thumbs up on your business address. We also want to make sure that you have really good terms for your lease, as Paula mentioned before. So if you don't have a lease, that's totally fine. You can still get funded up to $25K, and you can use the portion of that funding to acquire a lease. And, you know, if you do have a lease, there are some terms that, you know, are recommended but not required. And these really are to protect you. And it's based on experience, as Paul mentioned earlier, in the past. We really want to make sure that you've got the best terms to really set yourself up for success when it comes to your business location. And then, as Paul mentioned earlier, that your use of funds and your lease statement, want to make sure that you understand the risks involved. If you are investing your funding in a location, that you are still obligated to repay the loan, even though you may have lost your lease and you had to move somewhere else. And then also making sure that you recognize that you will be held accountable for how you spend those funds, and part of that is for follow-on funding. You'll be submitting receipts to show how you spent the funds. But then it's also really allows you to get into the practice of setting up a budget and then spending your money accordingly. So just, you know, setting these practices, best business practices, setting these habits up for future success.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rachel. So one of the things that we try to do to make the lending process easier for you is you will find on the website a checklist. And this checklist is what the underwriters use to, you know, check off that you've submitted all of the prerequisites that that Rachel just walked you through. And this is an example of the checklist, which will be made available on our website. This is an example of what a bank statement looks like. The reason we require the bank statement, as Rachel mentioned, is we want to make sure that you can actually deposit the check that the city of Sacramento writes to you. And so the bank statement needs to have the name on the statement, which the check will be made payable to, that will then be deposited into this account. This is an example of the personal financial statement. We just need, running a business is a financial endeavor, and we want to make sure that you have full awareness of what your personal situation is, as well as what your business situation is. This type of personal financial statement is required by most of the lending programs that we've been involved with. In fact, the Sacramento lending program was modeled after the U.S. Small Business Administration loan program, and they also require a personal financial statement just to make sure that you understand that being an entrepreneur is a holistic endeavor, and you need to be cognizant of both your personal financial situation as well as your business financial situation. This is an example of a written explanation for how you're using the money. We just want you to, be very clear and articulate about what your plan is and how you're going to spend the money, and your rationale for why you want to spend the money in this way. This is an example of a use of proceeds or a budget. You can see the different categories: inventory, marketing, equipment, insurance, and then other types of costs such as your state license, your legal, your accounting, and all of this will total the amount that you are applying for. So for example, if you're applying for $25,000 in the loan as your initial startup loan, this statement should total $25,000. And our underwriters, Rachel, Laura, and Tiffany, will work with you on that. And this is an example of a 12-month monthly financial projection statement. It basically is taking this total $25,000 amount, and then it lays it out on how you're going to spend the money month to month. Now, there may be circumstances where you have more than $25,000 to work with. So this total 12-month monthly financial projection would total how much money you plan to spend in the next year. If it's only $25,000, then that total column will equal $25,000. If you have some personal investment and savings that you're making to the business, that maybe you would match the city's $25,000 with your own $25,000, so you would have, call it $50,000, then this would total $50,000. But this is an example of what a monthly financial statement looks like. And then finally, this is an example of what we're requiring you to sign with regards to, the fact that you are going to use the loan funds in accordance with the eligibility for the core program criteria. And then also you understand that if, you decide to use the loan funds to improve a lease, and then a space that you've leased and you end up losing the lease for whatever reason, that you're still at risk for repaying the loan. Okay, great. Well, thank you for entertaining us in that section. If you have questions on it during the Q&A, we're happy to go back to any of those pages and provide further detail. Laura, do you want to talk a little bit about the loan approval process?
Sure. So the loan approval process starts with you, the verified core applicant, filling out the online application. So you just go to our website, elevateimpactsac.com, and complete the loan application online, which is you uploading these various documents that we've mentioned. And this is so that we are creating sort of a virtual file cabinet for you. So we're not accepting paper applications. All those prerequisite documents will be uploaded, and we'll be saving them in your virtual file cabinet. Can you go to the next?
Mm-hmm.
So the review process is done by us. We are the underwriters, and we're going to ensure that the prerequisites have been met and that you have submitted all the required documents. And we can assist you with some of these if you're not familiar with creating your own budget, as Paula and Rachel mentioned, or if you need any assistance drafting a use of proceeds. So we're here to help you along the way, but you will do the initial upload, and then we can work on the documents that perhaps you weren't sure about or need a little more attention. And we'll be emailing you to let you know what's missing or if something more specific is needed from your insurance broker, perhaps.
Okay, Rachel, would you mind talking us through the assessment score?
Yes, okay. Yeah, I would love to, Paula. So I mentioned before, we have two basic tools that we use as underwriters to really assess the your overall application for funding. The first one is the checklist, and the second one is what we call a scorecard. And so every application is given a score. If you get 60 or above out of 100, you are in line for approval of funding. And once you hit that, once you get that mark, you'll receive notification letting you know that your loan has been approved, and that we'll proceed to doing the closing, which means that we put together the loan agreement contract, the documents, we walk you through those. We go through signatures on your side, the city side, and then a check is cut, which is always so much fun. And then if your score is, if you don't hit 60, that's no problem. Again, as we've said, we're working with you, and I don't think there's going to be one applicant that gets turned away. This isn't that type of program. So we want to do your level best to submit everything that's required, but we're also here to help you through to make sure that you hit that score. And so basically that assessment is, we want to look at the ownership of the business. It's really important, and you get a lot of credit if you're 100% core owned. So lots of points for that. Making sure that you have managerial experience, whether it's in a work environment or a volunteer experience, volunteer environment. So when it comes to submitting your past job experience or resume, just making sure that you're set up for success in a way when it comes to managing a business. This is really the most competitive industry right now. It really does require a level of managerial experience. So we look at that, you get a lot of points for that. Ensuring that you have a readily available and viable network. So we're looking at your references, and it's both personal references, knowing that you're a member, contributing member to this amazing and vibrant community, and then also making really sure that you've got the business support out there throughout the supply chain, that you're building strategic partnerships. And so we really want to make sure that you've got those locked down, and that there's a track record of building those kinds of relationships. You're going to need those relationships in order to succeed. Absolutely, absolutely. And I know that everyone can attest to that, right? Your use of funds statement. So again, that's your budget. Was your, did you have, is your budget up to snuff, so to speak? You get big points for that. Business plan, the same thing. Your business plan doesn't have to be some big cutting edge production, but it does have to hit some standard points. And so you get full points if your business plan is comprehensive and is going to set you up for success. And then lastly, the financial projections, very key. We really want to make sure that you're that you're being able to tell your financial story at any given point. It's going to be very key for you. And, a lot of us keep those numbers rolling in our heads all the time. This is really just getting it out onto paper, and we help you do that. And you get points for that too.
Great. So thank you, Rachel. And again, this is an example of what the scorecard looks like. This is also posted on our website, and it's something that you can download and review. These show you how all of the different categories are scored, and you would get either full points or some percentage of points, but we really want to make sure that the score is greater than 60. And I just want to articulate, this is not a credit score. We purposely and intentionally avoided relying on credit scores as a determination for making loan decisions. We believe that, but we did want to make sure that, you know, we did have some sort of objective way, and transparent way is probably a better word, a transparent way of assessing whether or not you were ready to receive a loan. We have never denied a person a loan in any of the cities that we've worked in. I think it's important to say that this is not about gating and saying, yes, you know, you're good enough, or no, you're not good enough. We just want to make sure that you have the infrastructure in place to be successful. And so that's why we require the business plan. That's why we take you through the budgeting process. That's why we, you know, ask you to think about your business network and who you think you're going to be able to bring to the party so that your business is successful. And that's really the intention of the assessment score. It's just to make sure that you're ready to roll when you do receive the loan funds. Okay, so after you've been approved for the loan, we send an email to both the applicant and the city stating that the loan has been approved. Then you'll be requested to register at the City of Sacramento's self-service portal, where you will upload a W-9 and the California 590 forms. This is so that the city has the information it needs to be able to write you a check. And that super duper long link that I'm sure you can't read is where the city's portal is located, and that's where you will be asked to register. Once you've registered and you've uploaded your document, we will meet virtually, I should have said, meet with you to review and complete and sign the loan documents. We'll walk you through the loan documents to make sure you understand all of the different implications of what you're signing. And then we'll send the completed loan documents to the city for their signature and payment processing. Once the City of Sacramento has electronically signed the documents, they will mail a check to you for the loan proceeds to the address that you submit in the supplier ID self-service portal. So make sure that the address that you put in the portal is the one where you can receive a physical check. So once you've received your loan and you've started operating your business, you have to make the loan repayments as we've discussed previously. Just to give you a sense, if you get a $25,000 loan, your monthly payment will be $347. And then if you get the maximum loan over time through the $25,000 increments, the maximum loan is $125,000. And you get, as we mentioned, it's a 6-year loan. So you get 72 months to repay that loan. And the monthly payment at the maximum amount would be $1,736. You can pay via a check or a cashier's check or money order, which can be mailed to the address listed on the side at the City of Sacramento. We request that the borrower name and invoice number be written on the check so that the proceeds are applied to the right account and you wouldn't ever fall into delinquency status. We request that you enclose a copy of the invoice, which you'll be receiving on a monthly basis from the City of Sacramento with your repayment check. Again, just making sure that the funds are applied to the right account. You can also pay online at the link listed here, which you can barely read. I'll have to make that a little bit clearer. Sorry about that. But we also want to make sure that you have your, if you do decide to pay online at the payment at the City of Sacramento's portal, you will need to have your invoice number, your customer ID, and the form of payment, you know, which credit card you'll be using to pay online. And, you know, that's really it. We want you guys to take advantage of this money and funding. It does expire, I believe it's in August. So please register as quickly as you can and get started on your loan application. It does take time for some people, which is what we've discovered in other cities. And so we want to make sure we give you the full support that you can get registered as quickly as possible and, you know, get to loan funding. So that's really it. I just want to open it up for questions from all of you and let us know what we can do to support you.
Thanks, Paula. I appreciate that. Nick, I think we're going to have live questions. That's generally what we try to do so people can, you can hear people in their own voice. So Nick, if you could be our master of ceremonies and for those who are interested in talking, Nick will call you out, raise your hand and Nick will call you out and unmute you.
Should I stop presenting, Davina, at this point?
Yeah, you can go ahead and stop presenting.
Okay, great.
All right. We're gonna have Zion. You have to unmute yourself. Or
Unmute.
okay, go ahead.
Okay, so can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so I have a few questions. One, so when you say 25,000 per application, are we, let's say people like me, I'm doing cultivation, manufacturing, distributing in school and dispensary. Is it $25,000 per your separate business or for the whole thing? And then the other question I have is that when we fought for the core program, we fought for equity so that we don't have to struggle paying every month some amount of money every month. So that's just already getting us to fail already. So, and not even giving us even like a 6 month or a year space for us to pay it. But I just feel like we have to pay every month some amount as soon as we get the money. It just defeats the whole thing that we fought for to get that money so we can build our community businesses and jobs for our community. So put that money into our community. As long as we're doing that, we shouldn't be required to pay every month for that loan. At least it should be required, okay, you're building businesses, you're creating more businesses, you're creating jobs, you're creating training. That money should be going to that, not back to the city, at least for the first year or two. That's what I thought it was. But now we are hooked on a debt to start with. So I think that defeats for everything that we fought for.
So thank you for your question. The first question is the maximum amount that any one entrepreneur can receive is $125,000. The initial loan of $25,000 is if you do not have a lease. The initial loan, if you do have a lease, is $50,000. And then the maximum over time that you can receive is $125,000. And you can choose how you want to allocate that maximum amount between all of your different businesses. But the maximum amount you can receive as an entrepreneur is $125,000. With regards to the repayment schedule, you know, as I mentioned before, we modeled this program after the U.S. Small Business Administration microloan program, and we used a lot of their elements to inform us. I've been a lender for several years, and the way we've seen most entrepreneurs be successful is if they develop the habit of repayment. And then the second thing is, you know, in terms of making this program attractive for social equity entrepreneurs, is we don't have an interest rate. And so you're not paying interest. The only thing that you're responsible for is the repayment of principal. And finally, we want to make sure that future entrepreneurs also have access to the same opportunities that you do today, which is why we've made the repayment schedule the way that we have. One, to get people in the habit of repaying, and two, so that we can then relend those money to businesses in the future.
Yeah, but what I disagree with that is we have the weed tax money that the California revenue every year. So that should be the responsibility of other businesses to put in the money in other businesses. Like the city cannot make us, the business people creating other businesses, to be the responsible for others until the 60% of weed tax money that the California revenue, until they finish that money putting it into the cannabis businesses we're building. What they need to look at is the qualification, the paperwork you ask for. It takes us 2-3 months to provide. So once we provide that, that should be our qualification for that money in that way, so we can use that money to put it into our community or other businesses. But the way you did it, I do not agree with how the city is making us pay right away as soon as we get this loan, and we're paying more. That's not acceptable at all. That's actually trying to trap us into a business so we can fail, so other businesses come and take over us. That equity money is our money. The 60% weed tax money should not be going to the general fund. It should be first going to in businesses like ours, and then maybe give us a year to prove to you at least our business is thriving, then he can decide. But to give us a loan, throw some $25,000 loan and expect us to succeed, that is not acceptable at all.
I appreciate
And
that
I don't
viewpoint.
agree with that at all.
I do appreciate that viewpoint.
And that's not what we fought for
so-
either. It's defeating everything that we fought for this cannabis. We're not gonna follow Auckland. We're gonna follow the cannabis, the equity we fought for. That
I do appreciate that viewpoint.
from
and
the city.
However,
from
at this
the
point, we have a
government,
lot of
by the revenue.
We have a lot of other people that would like to ask questions. So I appreciate that viewpoint, and I understand where you're coming from. We've talked about that before. We're definitely going to talk about it again. But at this point, I'd like to get some of the other questions about the specifics to the loan for Paula and her team that they can answer, because we have a lot of things to cover today. So with that, Nick, do you want to go on to the next person?
Yeah, Simone Lacey, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah, I kind of missed the beginning of the, and I don't know if I can be on camera because I don't know how you guys have it set up, but I'm one of the cohort members and the third cohort. And my question is in regards to ancillary business. I know when I tried to do a little research or I spoke to someone, they were saying that my particular business may not be covered under the loan process. So are you guys going to allow ancillary business to be able to apply for these loans?
And I can answer that if you don't mind, Paula. Unfortunately, under the grant requirements that we got from the state, they don't allow us to fund ancillary businesses. It's only cannabis businesses. So, if you've got a cannabis license for your business, that's what we're allowed to fund, but ancillary businesses are not allowed under that funding.
Okay, so cannabis dealing, ancillary dealing with cannabis, it's not, even though it deals with cannabis, it's just not something that. So basically, because when I was going through the program, it said ancillary, and so if, I would have knew this ahead of time, I kind of could have focused in a different area. So, just the website, it just kind of promised a little bit more than what I actually saw, or what I can see being presented to us cohort members.
Yeah, and I do hear what you're saying. I think that the core program and most of the benefits there are open to people who want to do ancillary businesses, but just this particular loan program, because it's funded by the state, we have to abide by their rules. So I'm sorry about that. I know it's a disappointment.
Not really. I expected it, but thank you very much.
You're welcome. Nick, who do we have next?
We have Raquel Brown. Go ahead.
Hello. Hey, Davina. Happy New Year to everyone. Good to see your face again. I want to thank you, Paula, for reaching back out to me via email. I've been working on, getting this application completed. But the caller before the last caller really has some great points, Davina, I think. With working with the ladies from Elevate, they have been very adamant about replying back to me. So I really want to thank you guys for just staying on top of the emails through the holiday and just really working through it all. But there was a lot of questions that were just unclear, simple questions that I needed answers that I just couldn't get clarity on because my loan officer just didn't have the answers for me. And it kind of did delay the process. Just waiting for her to follow up to get those questions answered for me to be able to move forward was kind of a holdup for me. And so I'm glad that we had this webinar today to kind of give us more clarity on what's needed and what to expect as far as the repayment goes. I noticed that I know I had reached out to my loan officer and those were questions that I asked that she just didn't have answers on quite yet. So this was very helpful today to kind of just be able to navigate on what's next and to know what steps to take next. One thing that I do have a question about is regarding previous experience of a successful project that I was requested to submit. And so Paula, maybe you can give me more clarity on that, on what what would that be? Because I've submitted not only press articles from an article that was written about me in the Business Journal, but I also submitted references, letters, and I did a write-up, I wrote something out myself. So, but can you give me more clarity on what you guys need?
Yeah, no, that's perfect. It sounds like what you did was perfect. We just wanted, ability for somebody to toot their own horn a little bit, to talk a little bit about something that they had done successful. The reason the guidelines were a little bit looser is because we didn't want people to feel like they had to talk about a business experience. It can be a volunteer project. It can be a church project. It can be a cannabis project. It can be, yeah, it can be any of those areas. And so it sounds like what you've submitted is perfect. And I think that you actually might end up being our first loan. So thank you for your patience as we launch this program. Launches always are fraught with, uncertainty and what did you mean by, and please clarify. And I'm sorry that didn't make any kind of sense. And we're working through that. And Tiffany has been such a strong advocate for the entrepreneurs in this program. And so I apologize for the launch hiccups. That's typical with any launch, regardless of the industry or business that you're in. But hang in there, Rachel. You're going to get some money soon.
Well, I just want to thank you guys for the time, and then really giving us, the details today for the other applicants too, because it is a process, and just having all the information before, going into it can really be helpful for the other applicants as well. So I want to thank you guys. And yeah, Tiffany, she worked through the holiday, you guys, and Paula, you emailed me back too. So thank you guys for just pushing through. And Davina, I'm glad that you're back. So
great. Thank you, Rachel.
So now we have Renita Harris. Go ahead and unmute yourself and you can ask your question.
I really don't have a question, just a statement. And it's just kind of piggybacking off of what the first caller stated about paying the loan back the following month that it starts. It just doesn't make any sense. You guys know that we're coming from disadvantaged communities, and therefore there's no way we'll be able to start paying the money back within the first month. A business doesn't even see profit usually for the first 2 years. So I really think if you want this to be equitable and for businesses to actually be sustainable, you need to go back to the drawing board. It doesn't make any sense, especially with the population that you're dealing with, people who have been negatively impacted their whole lives, their economic lives. They've been homeless because of criminal records. They have children to take care of, families to take care of, not even just money giving back to the community, but we don't have any other support but this loan. And so starting it back, start paying it back the next month is just, it just looks like your program is just all smoke with no feet. So that's just all I wanted to say about it.
Okay, thank you for that comment. It's been something that we've researched quite extensively, and there's a lot of data and evidence that shows that businesses that repay, right away actually are more successful over the long term. And so I think that's why, and again, this was modeled after the U.S. Small Business Administration, which specializes in providing loans to small businesses. And their micro business program in particular provides loans of less than $50,000. I understand the perspective that you've shared, and we did do a significant amount of research to make this determination. So thank you for your comments.
All right, Ariana Van Alstine. Forgive me if I mispronounced that. Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi, I'm an attorney, and you did fine pronouncing my name. I'm an attorney in Sacramento. I've worked with lots of cannabis businesses here and all over the state, and really appreciate Davina, your time, and Paula, your time and sharing the presentation with us. I just had one quick question. As I said, I've been working with lots of cannabis businesses, and had a question about your relationships with financial institutions and the requirement that businesses have a bank account prior to being eligible for the loan. And if there are any relationships that the program has with financial institutions that are willing to work with cannabis businesses, I know I have a couple of that I work with clients specifically, but curious if you have some of those relationships as well, since that could be a particular challenge for cannabis businesses.
Yeah, we have a list of banks that have worked with businesses in Oakland that I'd be happy to share. If you shoot me an email, paula@elevateimpactsac.com, and anybody is welcome to shoot me an email, and I'm happy to share some of those financial institutions.
Wonderful, thank you. It was paula@elevateimpactsac.com. Okay, wonderful. I will do that. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Alrighty, Timothy Ward. Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hey, how you doing? I appreciate your interview was very informative. I agree with everything you're saying. If a person cannot take $25,000 and flip it, they don't need to be in the marijuana business. Number two, I got a business I'm trying to do right now, and I got what they say, a financer to get the loan for the business, and they just need a letter saying that it's zoned
For manufacturing.
for manufacturing. But the problem I'm having is trying to find who I get the letter from.
Are you saying this is a requirement of our program or somebody else?
No, it's the bank. I'm trying to acquire a building,
Okay.
right, for the grow. Like you saying that you needed a building or used to 25,000 to lease a building. I got a building right now that's for sale, and the only thing that's stopping me from getting the building is a letter saying that it's zoned to, the manufacture marijuana. And I'm trying to find out who the person is that I can contact to get this resolved.
Yeah, I'll pop in and take that one, Paula. In the city, if you contact the planning department, and what you're going to be basically asking for is just, you'll tell them, I'm interested in doing a cannabis manufacturing business, or if that's your business, at this address, can you please tell me if the zoning allows for that? And they will be able to write you back and say yes or no, and then you should be able to take that on.
So it is the planning bit. It is the planning department then, because I had went down there and they, because of this COVID virus business, they wouldn't allow me to get up there to see. And they sent me to the fire department, police department off of Freeport. And so I was getting like the runaround, but it is the planning department. It is the planning department, but the city, you're right now, because of COVID, the city isn't allowing non-city employees inside their buildings. And I don't think they're making any exceptions for that. So you'll need to email the planning department. And Nick, I think, isn't that just planning at City of Sacramento?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's planning at cityofsacramento.org. Thank you, I appreciate that.
Yeah, and we get this type of question a lot. Just be very clear in your email, like put the address in the email and maybe in the subject line, say question about zoning for cannabis business, so it gets directed to the right person in the planning department. And make sure you put the address, the street address, and all of that stuff. Sometimes we get emails and the information is too vague, and if it's vague, people can't respond in a timely way. So I would just offer that information as well.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you. And I
would also, you could also copy us, Cannabis at City of Sacramento, on that email. And then if there's any problems, we'll have that email and we can talk to the planning department and just see if there's a holdup or an issue.
That'd be very, very helpful. Thank you. I appreciate your time and the opportunity you're giving us.
Thank you.
Jay Johnson, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hey guys, how's it going? Just want to say thank you, Paula, for embarking on this whole journey that we're about to go on. My question is kind of a two-part question. The first question is, if we're already operating a cannabis business, is this loan a personal loan or can it be a business loan? And can the business assume the loan? And then the next part of that question is, can the loan be used to acquire another license type?
I don't know if the loan can be used to acquire another business. That's an interesting question. We haven't gotten that before. But to your first question, the loan can be made payable to a business that is 51% equity owned. That's the criteria. So it can either go to a individual who has received equity verification, or it can go to a business that's 51% equity owned. Now, can the loan be used to acquire another business? Let me just, I think the answer to that question is yes. But I just want to verify that with, you know, I need to go back and look at the state grant and talk to Davina and her team. But if you want to email me at paula@elevateimpactsac.com, and I'll get back to you with a clearer answer on the acquisition.
All right, maybe a better part of that would be to expand the current business. It wouldn't be to acquire another business, it would just be to expand the current business, because we want another license, like to expand, because you can add amendments to your license to get more done with the license type you currently have.
Yeah. So now you're talking about, you know, developing a use of proceeds statement, the budget that Rachel talked you through. And so maybe you can work with one of our underwriters to help you develop that statement so that it's in compliance with the state grant. But I don't anticipate a problem with that.
Wonderful, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Terry, Colorado, unmute yourself and ask your question.
Okay. So I just I'll keep a positive spin on this, but the grant money, from my understanding, was just that. When it was provided from the state to the city, it was provided as a grant to be given to equity participants to help them get into business. It wasn't supposed to be a loan that they got to pay back right away. So I would just say that you went away from the mission and you disenfranchised about half the people that are in core, because half of them are not going to be able to start paying these loans back right away. I think it's disingenuous of you guys to just throw it out here like this right now, you know, with no warning. This is how we get the information. And it's a hard pill to swallow. And Davina, don't worry, you don't have to give me your little sunshine speech. It's fine. I'm just making a statement. Everybody, savecannabis.com. Let's start talking. Core is the only game in town. They can't do anything without Core. If Core boycotted this whole process, this process would not happen. So Core, you've got more power than you think. We need to mobilize, and we need to meet up and start talking, because all of this is just disingenuous information, and it's not what it was intended to by the state. So thank you very much.
So I think this is Mr. Vail, but Mr. Colorado, I do want to address, there's some factual inaccuracies in your comment there. And that is that when this was actually done, we went to the state to get this fund, and it was for the purpose of doing a loan program, and specifically an evergreen loan program. So that's what we applied to for the state. That's what we were approved to do from the state. That's what we went to the city council and got approval for. And that's what we've been developing, and that's what we've implemented. So that has not changed. I think with the next funding cycle, we might be looking at grants if we're able to get funding for that, because we do see a need for both in the core community, and we definitely want to pursue that. So I appreciate your comments. I'll try not to be too sunshiny on you, but I did want to address those factual inaccuracies. Nick, did you want to go on to the next person?
Vanessa Ewing, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hello, thank you guys for the presentation. It was very informative. I got some answers to my question were answered, but I do have I think 2 or 3 questions. One question is, I have 3 business partners that are in the core, from the Asian core or the urban core. So with 3 of them being in that cohort, can 3 of them use a loan, or only one of them can use a loan because we're all business partners? Can we get multiple loans within the same business, or we have to use it for different entities when we start our next venture? with cannabis?
So each person in the program can get a loan.
Okay.
The way it's currently structured is the maximum amount per individual, if you meet all the criteria and you do the follow-on loans, as I previously discussed, is 125,000. Now, the most that any one business can get is also 125,000, and that's just
Okay.
to diversify the risk. So if two of you have two businesses, you can each get, and let's say you're a 50% owner in two different businesses, you can each get 125,000, but the most that can go into any one business is 125, and the most that would go into the second business is 125. So you have to figure out how to stack those dominoes so that you maximize your potential in terms of your eligibility. But if each one of you is core verified as an individual, you can each get 125,000, but the maximum that can go into any one business is 125,000.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Okay.
Yes, yes, that helped me out. And then
Great.
you answered, that was kind of two. So my third one is a statement to everybody that's on the call. So I've heard quite a few people have some negative things, and the gentleman before had something positive to say. You know, guys, I started off doing this cannabis thing almost a year ago. One of my mentors, Maisha Bahati, well, she already has a delivery business that is booming, guys. I think she's been in business for about a little bit close to 2 years. You know, when you start a business, you cannot come in here broke. Any business. Now, to speak about the cannabis business, you have to have cushion, guys. You have to come in with some type of money. But on the green light to shine for you all is that it's not going to take you long to get money in this business, because I've seen it with her. And now she has opened up a manufacturing distribution business with another young lady, and they're going to be booming too. So to kind of help you shine some light so y'all feel a little bit better if you're starting off, hopefully you guys aren't by yourself. I tried to start off by myself. It didn't work. It's just too much information. I brought in 4 other women that wanted to do the same thing. And now there's 5 of us doing a delivery business. And we've been doing it for about 5 months now. To let you guys know, it's whatever business you're doing, it's gonna take 18 months, 6 to 18 months to get up and going. You know, to get approved, the application to be processed and things like that. But just hang in there. But you will do fine in this business. This money to be spread everywhere. It's just too many people that now are doing cannabis for a healing, recreational, or what have you. So I just wanted to give a little silver lining to the people that may feel like they don't think that they can do it or strive, because you can. And that's it.
Thank you. That was
You're welcome.
very inspirational.
Thank you. Josh Veal, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hey, I mean, my question was already answered. I was confused I've been working with the Asian Chamber, and they told me that we would be able to apply for a business loan for every license that we hold. You're telling me no matter how many licenses that you hold, you can only apply for up to 125,000. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. That's the only question I had. The only other thing I want to say real quick is I've been in cannabis for 15 years. I've been arrested twice for doing cultivation, and nobody's handed me anything, not a free grant, not a free license, up until the last 2 years. So I just like to say, everybody that's jumping into cannabis now, just because you come from a bad background, a horrible family, doesn't entitle you to a free business loan or a free business. And all these people that are mad about these core applicant loans and all that, what you guys should be mad about is why the only business they're giving to people that grew up in poor neighborhoods is cannabis businesses. Why aren't they giving you loans for other businesses? So I don't think that we should berate the people that are helping us in the cannabis industry further ourselves as core applicants. We should applaud them and take what we can get and strive to be better and look out for the person next to you. So I just like to say that it's not an easy road. I've been in it 15 years and there's no handouts. So if you're in the cannabis business, it's work. You're a farmer. That's what you're here to do. So I'd like to thank you guys and applaud everybody that works hard at it every day. And, so that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. John Long, go ahead and unmute yourself.
These people in there deserve it.
Hello? Hello, hello?
Hello, go ahead, John.
Hi there.
Hey, how you guys doing today?
Good.
My question to you guys is, when do you project, because I already put my application in and I'm ready to receive the money. How soon do you think that we'll get a check cut? And then, oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, I was just going to ask, has your application been approved by our underwriting team? Have you gone through all of the prerequisites and uploaded everything and then signed off?
Yeah, I was, as soon as you guys put it out there, I was already ready. So I already put everything in and uploaded everything.
Okay, so we just need to go through our document verification process and get back to you. And then once we do that, we will interact with the city to go through the check cashing, the check issuing process. Unfortunately, because the first few loans usually take a little bit longer because we've never done it before. So I can't really give you a specific date on how long it will take. If you would just be a little bit patient with us, and you can email us as often as you'd like to check in. But I really can't give you a specific time period right now.
Okay, the reason why I'm asking about that is because when I put in for the application, I had a LOI on a warehouse in hopes that I would get the loan money for the landlord, so I can go ahead and start whatever business that I was going to start on that location. And it's been a month now, so I've been just kind of like trying to figure out like what your guys' timelines are and everything.
Sure.
Because the other thing is with the download documents, I actually have a location, but mine's a CBD shop on K Street, and that's not a qualified location. So I don't know that specifically because there's things that's been happening, but I wanted to know, like, would that disqualify me if my location is not a cannabis location and so forth, just for the download of the documentation? Because I already have a lease agreement. I have a couple of lease agreements already for all the businesses that I'm running right now. So acquiring another location is just one of those things where I'm trying to use the money exactly for the cannabis situation right now.
Great. So I think I'd like to take this on a one-on-one with you, because it sounds like you have some unique business circumstances. I know that you're working with Rachel right now, and she's been trying to be as responsive as possible with regards to your specific situation. So if you and I and Rachel can maybe talk offline, I think it would be a better use of everyone's time, because I just want to make sure I'm fully informed about your situation. So if you could shoot me and Rachel an email, and we'll follow up with you.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right. And
Jay, you're just labeled Jay. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, so I lost the screen when you're going over the repayment options, but it sounds like from the comments that repayment is due right away. Given that being, so there's a couple things going on at the state level that make that a real risky move, like accepting a loan that has to be repaid right away when you're not fully operational. The BCC is approving delivery licenses at least 3 months on the shortest. CDPH has taken anywhere from 6 to 8 months to get through licenses. So is there a way, if we get accepted for the loans, to postpone cashing the check or whatever it is, so that we don't have to start repaying until we're actually ready to utilize those funds? Because the funds are absolutely necessary, but at the same time, like timing wise, it seems like it seems like we're going to need some flexibility in terms of the timing of it, so that we're not having to pay rent when we're not operational, in terms of having a state license, as well as having to repay a loan on top of that.
Right. You know, I think that there's a way to work with your loan officer so that you can make sure that all of your documents are verified, because that can take time depending on who you are and where you are in your process. And then we can talk a little bit with the loan officer about when you actually want to submit your loan application, but I would not wait to start the loan application process. I would get everything done, and then we can talk with the loan officer about when you actually want to submit your application. That's actually a pretty creative way of doing it. But remember, we do have to disperse the loan funds by August. So it's really not up to us in terms of how much we can delay. But I think I like the way you're thinking in terms of trying to plan your it's called cash flow planning. Quite frankly, there is a technical term for it. And we encourage our business owners to do that. And just to be clear, people, to everyone on the call, you don't repay the whole loan right away. You repay the loan over 6 years, right? We're not asking that you do a lump sum payment in the beginning. So you have 6 years to repay the loan. And so you need to, you know, and when we do your monthly financial projections and we do your budget, we'll show you how the money will be repaid over that 6-year period time frame. But I would absolutely go ahead.
I think the concern isn't whether it's a lump sum, it's the actual operational costs and the time that it takes to go from paying for a CUP and paying for your state, all the local required stuff, to actually getting approved by the state and being able to operate to generate revenue to pay back the loan. Because not only do you have to pay for all the services and costs there, but you have to pay for man hours if you have employees, and then you also have to pay rent if you actually have a location. So there's a lot of costs just involved in stabilizing yourself to become operational. So to have to add on an additional lump sum, and it looked like for 50,000, it was right around $1,000 a month. For a lot of businesses that want to be successful, they're not going to be able to accept the agreements of the loan because it will not allow them to. They'll default on that loan basically. If you're not generating revenue because you don't have a state license, being able to pay back a loan when you're already having to pay for rent, if you've already executed on your lease, there's only a few ways that people are going to make that happen. And one of those ways is exactly what legalized cannabis is trying to get away from. So I think that's really the issue, not do you have to pay it all back. It's just that you can't make money in cannabis legally until you have a state license. And that process is a whole nother process on top of the local process that can take, I've seen licenses that I've been involved in take up to a year to be approved by CDPH. So, and CDPH and BCC and cultivation are merging into one organization as well, which could potentially create more lags in state licensing. So I really think that it's something that should be thought about. How is this request for immediate repayment actually setting up positive cash flow to create opportunities for success? Because that's really where the issue is going to be. Not can they not establish positive repayment habits, but it's the actual capacity to operate legally, to generate the revenue, to establish those positive repayment behaviors should be the order, not just, hey, with small business loans that don't deal with the same regulation loopholes that cannabis does. There's an offset of when we use the funds and when we're actually legally capable of executing on that business.
So Jay, I appreciate that. Paula only promised us an hour and we've gone over that quite a bit. Paula, I don't know if you have any responses to that you want to give, but and I apologize to everyone else, but I think we're going to have to cut it off after Jay. Go ahead, Paula.
No, what you just explained is what it means to launch a startup. And I appreciate the explanation that you just walked everybody through. I think it was very helpful for people to understand cash flows to businesses. Unfortunately, my answer is the same as it has been to some of the other recipients. We do feel a fiduciary responsibility to make sure that the loan fund is as it was intended to be, an evergreen fund, so that we can collect repayments from businesses so that we can help launch future businesses. And so that's really the mandate that we were given. It's what we went to the state and explained that we were going to do. And so now I think, given that we've already secured the funding from the state under the idea that we were setting up an evergreen fund, I think we have to hold ourselves accountable to do what we told the state we were going to do. You're mute.
There we go. Thank you. I appreciate your time. As I said, I know you only promised us an hour, so I appreciate you guys and your team staying a little bit longer to answer questions. And I apologize to everyone who had their hands raised in the participant box. I would encourage all of you to contact Paula and get your questions answered. Sounds like she and her team are very responsive and happy to answer and work with you. So again, apologize, but thank you, Paula, and your team for your time today. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And we're so excited to be working with the entrepreneurs in Sacramento. We think this is going to ultimately be a great cannabis ecosystem, and we're happy to be a part.
Thank you very much. Okay, well, I will share my screen then, and we're going to start the second part of the presentation today, which has to do with the RFQ. I know there's a lot of questions and interest on that, and we definitely want to try to get to everybody we possibly can. We do have our own presentation, of course, on that, like we generally do. And I am hoping that we'll get through that. And then at the end of that, we're going to have questions and answers, just like we did now. I would ask that everyone be mindful that there's a whole lot of people on this call, and everyone, I think, wants to have their questions answered. So if you can just be mindful that you're not talking more than you're listening, or that you're just kind of being as succinct as possible with your questions and comments, that would be greatly appreciated. And I will try to go through the presentation fairly quickly just to have time for that conversation or those questions. So we'll go ahead and start that off. I did want to just take a moment, though, to, I don't know if you guys have been watching the news today. I mean, the exciting news last night about Senator-elect Warnock, and then the things today that happened in the US Capitol. And I think because of that, I think it's become very important to us, to me, that we talk about some of the things that we've heard and really kind of address, because I think facts matter, truth matters. And I know we all are going to have different opinions about some things, but I do want to kind of go over some of these things, because I just think that the more we understand where we're coming from and what we've heard, and sort of address these sort of rumors, differences of opinion, then we can sort of move past them and keep going. So some of the things that we've been hearing is that we haven't been transparent in the RFQ process, that a functional working draft of the RFQ hasn't been shared with stakeholders, that OCM has violated the Brown Act, that the process of selecting evaluators for this RFQ is biased, that a copy of the final RFQ has been leaked, and that the process has taken entirely too long. I can tell you our actions, if you've been sort of coming to these meetings, you know that we have asked you repeatedly for input. I feel like I'm a broken record sometimes, and that because I'm always saying, let us know what you think, give us your comments. We've had stakeholder meetings. We took your comments, we put them in a survey, we sent them out. We got your survey results, we put it together, we went to meetings, we had phone calls and emails from people. It's been on our website. So we've taken your input as well as city council direction that we've received at public meetings. And then of course, our city attorney's review of all of those suggestions to put together and make this RFQ process. A working draft of the RFQ and the scoring was shared at the last stakeholder meeting on November 19th. It's been posted on our website. As far as the Brown Act, those requirements apply to legislative bodies. We're not a legislative body, but we do send out meeting links and a description of what's going to be discussed at the meeting. We do send out in advance and we post that on our website. Those are always available for you. I would recommend that you make sure your not your website, but your email address is current with us. We've had some people recently that have changed their emails. And if you don't kind of send an email to Cannabis saying, hey, can you update my email for these lists? We may not do that unless we get the specific request. So make sure your email is updated with us. I have asked stakeholders at stakeholder meetings for ideas on who would be a good evaluator. We're not OCM, OCM staff, we're not going to get involved in the selection of the evaluators. We want to avoid any potential appearance of conflict or impropriety. We feel like we know you guys and we like you guys and we want everyone to sort of do well. And so we think it's best just because of that sort of close relationship that we not be involved in that. I don't think there's anything wrong in asking for ideas on either types of evaluators or specific people you think would be good evaluators, because I think having that input is good. I don't know everybody in the town and in the area, and so having that information I think is valuable. No one has seen the final RFQ except for OCM staff. That's just, yeah, that's been here and it hasn't gone anywhere else. And we agree with the criticism that this process has taken a long time. We're happy that it's here, and we thank you for your patience and your work with us as we try to go through this slog and put something together that the council could support and that you guys could support, our city attorney could support, and that I think it's going to work. So that's really exciting that we're finally here. All right, with that, again, I just want to sort of put that to bed. I think maybe that would be a regular feature of our meetings, is sort of a rumor control, or, I know there's a lot of talk in the business, so we might have that as a regular feature of our meetings. We'll see. So let's talk about the RFQ. This is the timeline that we're looking at. We're looking at opening at 12:01 tonight, right? So that's the first minute of tomorrow. It's going to be open for approximately, well, a little over 7 weeks. It's going to close on the 19th of February at 11:59. For the first couple of weeks are going to be a question and answer period, and that's from January 7th to January 29th. The evaluation period where the SOQs, which remember are the statement of qualifications. So the request for qualifications, and then you submit your statement of qualifications. That's going to be, we hope to be under a month, but we're giving ourselves a little leeway. They may need more time depending upon how much documentation everybody submits. And then we anticipate announcing who's been selected at the end of March. So we're going to go a little bit in detail on those different sort of date points. And then once we do that, Zara will actually walk you through that application. So we look at when the RFQ opens. Link's going to be posted on the cannabis website. We're going to email it to all of the core stakeholders that are on our email list. The RFQ is going to be on the city's screen door portal. As far as who can respond, it shouldn't be a surprise. It's going to be classification 1 and classification 2. If there's 2 people, core members, who want to form a business together, you can each do your own separate response and, just put it as an individual. That gives you 2 chances to, score well in this RFQ process. We do want to say that, there is only 1 SOQ per person. So 1 application, once you submit it and it's done, if you try to submit additional SOQs, those will be disqualified. So I just want you to be very aware of that. You can't submit, if I have 3 different email addresses, I can't submit a different SOQ for each email address. Now the question and answer period, I know that's confusing for a lot of people. I've gotten some questions on what that means. So for the first couple weeks, from January 7th to January 29th, you can ask questions. We won't be talking to you about sort of the technical aspects of your submissions, like, is this a good business plan or is this a good document? We won't be looking at anything like that. But if you have questions about the process, the screen door portal, things like that, you can ask them in writing. There is a question box that you can submit questions on that screen door portal. Those are public. The questions and the answers will be public for all to see. Don't ask any questions containing personal information or things you don't want everyone to see. And don't call us or email us with your questions about the RFQ. We'll send them back and ask that you submit them through the screen door portal. The idea behind this is so that no one gets special information and that everyone gets the same answers to the questions that are posted. You know, someone else may have a question that you didn't think of, and so being able to see those questions and the answers to them will be helpful for everyone. So again, it's about trying to level the playing field, making sure that questions are answered. After that January 29th, we won't be able to answer any questions about the screen door portal. So you've got, let's see, it's 1, 2, 3, a little over, looks like 4 weeks, 3 weeks to answer those, to ask those questions, and we'll answer them. So definitely take a look at the screen door portal, and if you have questions, make sure you get them asked. Okay, as far as when it closes, the RFQ does close February 19th, just before midnight. And your statement of qualifications must be submitted by that time or it will be disqualified. And what does submittal mean? It means that the submit button at the end is pressed and you've received a notice that your SOQ has been submitted. If you have gone over a character limit, or if you've attached a document type that's not accepted, then you will get an error, right? And that doesn't mean that it's been submitted. That means it has not been submitted. So you press the submit button and you've received a notice that the SOQ has been accepted. Just please, please, please don't wait until the last minute. Too often I've heard of people losing their internet, losing your power. I mean, it's winter, right? We get storms. These things happening. So please don't wait till the last minute. I'd hate for someone to not be able to submit because they waited too long to finalize their draft. Going forward, we will, once that period closes, the demographic data page and the personal information page will be temporarily stripped off of your submittal. And the purpose behind that is to provide a blind evaluation based solely on the merits of your SOQ. The city manager's office is vetting and choosing evaluators. As I said, OCM, we feel like we're too close to you, so we're not going to be involved in that process. The evaluators will begin that blind evaluation sometime in the week of February 22nd, hopefully on February 22nd, and going to at least March 15th, maybe later, depending upon how in-depth the submissions are. We're going to tabulate the scores, and the top 10 scores will be announced at the end of March. There are 4 major categories for the RFQ. These shouldn't be a surprise. These are very much what you saw on our November 19th meeting. We've broken them down further. So this first section, the introduction cover letter, that has 3 different elements with 3 different scoring potentials, right? So this is a cover letter introduction. The first section, information about you, that's 3 points. Relevant information on how the war on drugs has impacted your status as a social equity applicant, that's 4 points. And then your interest in a cannabis storefront dispensary, 3 points. Each of those little elements will be scored, and you'll get a maximum of 3 points for the first score for subsection 1 there, or maybe it's 2 or 1 or 0, depending upon how well the evaluator feels you did in that section. And then all of the scores in that particular area will be tabulated. If you did perfectly and got the max in all of those, then you will get a total of 10 points for that section. The second section has 2 subparts, right? So this is the qualifications experience. The first subsection there is worth 20 points, and it's resume, professional experience, professional certifications, trainings. That would be like your core classes or other classes, trainings you've taken. Informal trainings experience. So if you've, shadowed somebody, if you've done other trainings that were sort of more like, not a formal, you got a certificate at the end of it, but just kind of shadowed somebody, someone mentored you, things like that. And then just an opportunity for you to talk about some projects you've done and maybe your role in their success. And that's very much for people who may not have, a lot of work experience. Maybe you do things in your church or things in your community. I put together a toddler bed from IKEA. I feel like that was a project that I had a major role in its success, and it was a project. I feel like I should get scored for that. So the second part there is the business plan. This is 55 points. So 55 points for this subsection, 20 points for the other section is a total of 75 points. You can see how this section is broken down again. Your mission statement is worth a max possibility of 4 points. Your business structure, and then we want you to talk about how you're going to maintain 51% ownership and profit sharing of core in your business structure, and that's worth 7 points. You have a timeline that's going to be worth a maximum of 8 points. Your budget is worth a max of 10 points. Your operational plan worth a max of 10 points. Your workforce development plan, that's a max of 6 points. Then your marketing plan, kind of telling us about, you know, how you plan to market your business, your products, what's going to make you stand out from the other 39 dispensaries that are out there. What's special about you and your business. So that will be the big chunk of it, right? For the remaining points, there's going to be maximum of 5 points for a professional reference. I know people went back and forth on references. Some people hated them, some people loved them. Initially, we had 2 professional references and I think 2 personal references, and we just decided that was too much, and we just split the baby and said 1 professional reference for a small amount of points. And the final category that we have is sort of the overall presentation appearance of the SOQ. How put together is it? How professional is it? How, you know, how does it shine, right? What does the evaluator think of your packet that you're submitting? So that's worth 10 points. All of those categories together, it's a maximum of 10 points. I'm sorry, 100 points, maximum of 100 points. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to stop sharing and I am going to hand it over to, Zara, are you ready for me to hand it over to you, or you want me to go another screen or two?
I'm ready.
You're ready. Okay, I'll stop sharing. It's all you.
All right. Hello, everyone. So the last screen that Davina was sharing was that part of the city's website, and you want to go under the core program tab, and you will see, it will take you to the core program page, and then that's where we will post the link tonight. Hold on, I'm going to share my screen. So what you want to do is just click on that screen, click on that link, and then it will take you to the RFQ. So I'm just going to go over it briefly because it will be live in less than 8 hours. So, but this will be just a sneak peek of what you will see tonight after midnight. So this will be the landing page, and it will contain, you know, a description of the RFQ, you know, council action, who can respond, classification 1 and 2, basically, as Davina had said, individuals who already own or have a ownership interest in a storefront dispensary are not eligible to apply. But other than that, you know, all individuals who meet that criteria for classification 1 and 2 are eligible to respond. It will be 1 per person, and Screen Door will remember your email address, and that's how it will track if you have already submitted an application under that email address. It will prevent you from submitting a second one. In scenarios where there is a second email address that is used, we'll use the name as the identifier. And in cases where there are names that are similar names, then we will look at the date of birth as the you know, identifying information. So the introduction page will show you all the I guess the instructions, a description of each of the category, and then the table that Davina shared in the PowerPoint. It will also be in the attachment for that page. So what you want to do is click on respond, and it will take you to the actual application. So you don't need to create an account. Again, it will be the email address. That's how Screen Door will remember you. So you want to enter your name and your email, and the next time you visit your application will automatically save, and the next time you log in, it will remember that email address and just take you to your application. So you can stop or you can pause and revisit it next time and complete your application. It will automatically save, so you don't have to worry about that. So the next set of information will be like, standard, your mailing address, your preferred method of contact. When you get to core classification, after you select your classification, it will ask you to upload your verification letter. So if you don't have that yet, make sure to request that from SAC Asian or from GSOL. The first part would be cover letter, and I won't go into it in detail because Davina has already covered it in her PowerPoint. And if you've attended the last stakeholder meeting and have checked out the information that's posted on the website, it's pretty much identical to what you will see on the RFQ. So cover letter will, that's worth 10 points, information about you, your interest in a dispensary and how the war on drugs has impacted your status as a social equity applicant. You will upload your letter in PDF, make sure all attachments are in PDF. Your letter cannot exceed 2 pages. Second part would be qualifications. And again, Davina went through each category as listed in the table that she shared in her PowerPoint. And again, you've seen these questions before. It's similar to what was shared at the last stakeholder meeting and also what's posted on the website since November 19th. So there are character limits for each one, and it will tell you, you won't be able to, for instance, this one is 3,000 characters. Once you exceeded that limit, then you won't be able to type. But if you've been working on your draft, you can just cut and paste from a Word document and post it on here, and it will show you how long the size, character size of your document. The same thing for all these questions. So yeah, same thing for B has 7 questions and each one has a character limit. You can upload a organizational chart, your timeline and your detailed budget, which is that you've been working on that. So that should be ready to upload. There are operational plan, your marketing plan. There are no questions specific to equity, as we discussed before, but there's plenty of opportunities throughout the RFQ where you can answer those questions or provide information regarding that. You can include that in your marketing plan. It's similar to what we talked about before, what makes your dispensary unique. I guess you can put that information under your marketing plan. And then your reference letter, that's one reference letter that you're going to upload, and it's a maximum of 1 page. And then when you've answered all those questions, and again, you don't have to finish it in one sitting, you can pause and then go back and you can resume completing the application. You've check all the boxes and then enter the date and fill out the demographic survey, which will help us when we report back to the state as far as how the the demographic profile of our social equity applicants. And lastly, you will be able to do a preview and then submit. Once you submit, you will receive an acknowledgement, and you can use that acknowledgement to revisit your application. You will get one chance to make a correction or edit your application. You will have to request to edit, and then we will receive an email and grant you the permission to edit. And that's only before the deadline. After the deadline, you cannot change your application anymore. Let me see if I covered everything. And again, if you have any questions on any of these questions, then yeah, we'll take those up during Q&A. Some important things to remember. Do you want to go over that, Davina, the next two slides?
I can if you want. Are you tired?
No, I don't have, hold on, let me share my PowerPoint.
Okay. You're doing a good job,
okay.
so.
Okay, here you go. Do you see it?
Yes, it looks like it just went back to the beginning.
Let's try to get to that page. Okay, so again, your RFQ response is limited to one per individual, and the email address would be the identifier. If there are, a scenario where individual tries to submit a second one, Screen Door will flag that, and that application won't be submitted. Entities, you don't have to. You will be submitting as individuals, so entities don't have to be formed right now. You can form your entity after you've been selected, if you're one of those 10 who will be selected. You don't need a location to fill out to respond to the RFQ. And let's see, the page limits, each one has it's either a page limit or a character limit. So for the PDFs, we tell you how much information or how many pages you can submit. And if the answers are, something that you type into the questions themselves, then you don't, then there are character limits. So make sure you abide by those. Again, information is automatically saved. You can stop and continue and pick up where you left off until you submit your response. Email address, again, make sure that's correctly entered correctly, because that's how Screen Door will send your acknowledgement. And if you try to request to edit your document, that's also the link that you will get and click on to edit your application. So all attachments have to be in PDF format. And for this one, Davina said, covered it. All questions have to be posted on the questions page. And we will, so you will see everyone's questions and answers on there. So make sure you don't put any, confidential information there. And that Q&A period is up to the 29th of January. Oh, that was it. Again, tonight at 12:01, the link will be live. And yeah, wishing you all the very best, like the slide says. Thank you.
Thanks, Zara. I appreciate that. Okay, so I do see it's 4:45, and I know we have a lot of people that are wanting to ask questions. We're going to answer them. Let's see. Zara, would you mind unsharing your screen, and then we can look at them. Thank you. So I have staff that needs to leave at 5. I will stay and I will answer questions as long as I can. So we'll go in order of what we have here. I will pause at 5 o'clock to basically say goodnight to the staff that I have that need to go. So, but we'll continue. I'll continue on with questions. So Nick, if you'd like to go forward, that would be great.
Okay. Looks like Terry, Colorado. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
I'll go ahead and pass. So,
all right. Brandon Bolton, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Greetings, everyone. Oh, can you mute yourself? Greetings, everyone. This is Brandon Bolton from the United Core Alliance. Very, very excited that to have what's going on and what's kind of being unveiled to us. There are some concerns just on, for myself, I have a concern based on, the city manager's office selecting those evaluators and who's going to score the license types. Just things that I've heard, I'm really, just full transparency, worried about Laney being a part of that process. So that's kind of my 2 cents on that. I do also believe that, we just kind of, I'm a little bit confused as well as to, questions that I've been asking kind of in the past as far as, us kind of like, if we are core members and we already have groups that we formed, we've been working on models together for months and months. We shouldn't be kind of penalized for having them on our applications. And I feel like that's what's happening because, I just feel like we're trying to combine efforts and make sure that we really maximize the wealth from these licenses. And if we all are in competition, like it's now I'm in competition with the person sitting right next to me. It feels, that kind of feels wrong, that part of the process. So those are kind of my ideas on that. I did want to also just kind of ask a question about social equity in hemp. I think that, I'd love to get that conversation started as well as, the state starts to continue those conversations. And yeah, I'm looking forward to getting these licenses out, and having the community have our eyes all of the eyes on this, so this process can remain equitable, fair, and just, and not end up like LA, Illinois, or other cities. So thank you all for the work that you are doing, and I will be in contact soon.
Thank you, Brandon. I appreciate that. I would encourage you, if you have 5 people you want to go into business with, that means you guys have, there's 6 of you that can submit and 6 chances of getting an opportunity to apply for one of these licenses. So I think that'll be hopefully of use and of interest. And again, maybe it's the issues of the Capitol today, but I am at the U.S. Capitol, but I just really hope that people aren't going off of, rumors and things they heard someone else say. So, I can tell you that I think that the city manager's office is dedicated to making sure that the evaluators that are chosen are in line with what sort of core principles, what people in the core program have asked to see, which is sort of, people with non-Sacramento cannabis knowledge, business knowledge, startup knowledge, people in universities, things like that. So I think that's what they're really looking for. And, the city manager's office houses a lot of entities, which includes, economic development. It includes a lot of different things. They work together. So I'm not worried about that personally. I understand, fear and rumors kind of breed stuff. I hope that people aren't too afraid. I feel very confident that the evaluators that are going to be chosen will be great. And maybe more importantly, that they won't, there will be no conflicts and no bias. So I understand there's concern. This is a big deal, but I hope we don't let those concerns sort of get overblown. So I appreciate that comment, Brandon. And we will talk. Sounds like we're going to talk more about hemp in the future. So I am interested in having that conversation with you at another time. Okay, so Nick, I think you've got a few minutes. Who's next?
Malachi Amen, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Malachi?
Going twice. All right. Michael Snell, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, thanks for having me, everyone. My name is Mike Snell. I'm with the United Core Alliance, and I am speaking with just concern. I didn't get a chance. Can I just ask one question about the loan program real quick?
Yeah, I'm not the finance expert, so if I'm able to answer, I can. If I can't, I'll send you to Paula. Oh, Paula, you're still here. Yeah,
Oh,
wow.
building. All right, cool. All right, real quick. What I was curious was what happens to the remaining funds that's allotted for all core members or equity members, I should say. What happens to the remaining funds if they're not all dispersed?
I don't think that's going to happen, to be honest with you. We've structured the program in such a way that we can make any changes as required. If we find ourselves getting close to August and we haven't dispersed a significant amount of funds, we will increase the minimum loan amounts that people can apply for and encourage people to do follow-on loans.
Are they, I mean, would it be for any specific license or just for all?
All core eligible applicants.
Okay. And then lastly, what I just wanted to confirm, I think you did touch on this, Davina, but I had another phone call come in, but what I just wanted to confirm, so say for instance, someone has the necessary relationships and they can get an LOI for the storefront location, and what in the qualification process would give them a little more leverage to get the approval? If they pretty much have all the pieces together, they just have to get the documents filled out.
So are you asking about the loan program?
No, this is RFQ now, I'm sorry.
Okay, so we're not looking at locations. So, whether you have an LOI or not, that won't be something that will be necessarily, you're not being judged on that. So it's sort of irrelevant to the RFQ process. I think, the fact that you've
for like a tiebreaker scenario, would that help if we, you know what I mean? If for a tiebreaker scenario versus just pulling like a, straw out of the hat or a number out of a hat,
So our resolution that the council approved says that in the event of a tie-breaking scenario, that it's basically going to be chance. We're really hoping there won't be and when I say chance, that's, basically like this isn't what it's going to be, but, pick a high number, right? Between 0 and 100, and whoever's closest to my number wins, sort of a thing. It won't be that. But I think that's the idea. But at the same time, if it depends where that tie is. If the tie is at number 10, that's really the only time it's going to matter, right? If it's at the 10th, because if there's a tie for numbers 2 and 3, right, then there will be permits for those people. So it's just when you get down to the 10th permit that a tie will matter. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and lastly, just wouldn't, requiring the core members to go in individually, aren't we limiting ourselves with the amount of wealth that's being spread to the community? Because we're saying that 10 people are going to win these licenses, as opposed to people who maybe have been coming into groups as 5 core members. Instead of having 15 to 30 to 40 core members, now we're only with 10. That at that point, then they have to decide if they're partnering with other core. I just think that it was definitely a different way that we could have gone about this, and I think that that's what Malachi has expressed in his email. That we've kind of in support of right there is just like this is insight that we would like to have included in there, because we didn't know that was actually going to be a thing that I had. We've been talking with groups for a while now, so it's kind of out of left field there.
Mm-hmm. So we have talked about this, and basically, when we're looking at this, because we definitely have core support for having, allowing groups to apply for one application or for one, submit one SOQ, and we've had other people who really want to just go it alone, and they also see it as like, if I want to go into business with 5 people, like, there's 6 of us. Why shouldn't we have 6 bites at this apple? So we thought it was probably most fair to not disincentivize people from forming groups, because if the OCM team, if we're going to go into business together, then having us each being able to throw our hats in the chance gives us higher odds, right? For example, so that's kind of where we just put our hands. That I'm not making much sense here. That's kind of where we landed. So we're really hoping actually that people will form groups. So if you, for example, are the person who wins one of the opportunities to apply for this permit, we really hope that you form a group, that you get
using the same
a bunch of people.
Can
I'm
we use
sorry?
the same references and qualifications per the license, like for each core application? Can we use the same letters of supports, professional letters of supports for the group then, and apply as a core individual, but use the group's metrics and, essentially
Operating agreements.
Yeah, operating agreements, things like that per each of the licenses, and not get penalized for doing such? Because we've already been doing this based off other working drafts and stuff.
So I think that, you're going to be submitting what you think will give you the best chance. Okay. So if you have a professional letter of recommendation, if it says if it's you and if it's Zara, saying you and Zara and Nick are all great people and will do really well in this business, then I think it's going to be evaluated for what it is that you were. Here's a letter of recommendation that mentions 3 people, including you. So you kind of have to decide if that's sufficient or not. If you put in your information that this is your plan, right? Your business plan is to enter into a business with Zara and Nick, and you guys are going to be doing this, and this is your plan, and you have the recommendation letter for all of it, but includes you too, then I think that's okay. You just have to decide what's going to best represent you and what business you want to do. So by mentioning the people you wish to go into business with, you can do that. Of course, we also recognize that people fall out of business too, right? What seemed like a great idea today, a year from now, you may decide that, Zara's flaky and you don't, sorry, Zara, and you don't want her in your business at all. So we don't want to force people to be in business together if it's not working, because if the permit goes to your group, right, the 3 of you together, then who is the permit holder? And then it becomes sort of nasty of, okay, well, is Zara going to get kicked out? And if so, how does that work? And does she own a third of a permit, right? Right now, if it's you and you win that opportunity, you're the permit holder. You're the one who has the permit. You're the master permit holder, if you want to call it that. And just makes it a lot cleaner as to far as, tracking who has the permit, who doesn't have the permit. So hopefully that helps. All right, Nick, shall we?
Thanks, Tina.
Oh yeah, no. Okay, so, all right. I guess, Nick, we can go on to the next person.
Rashard Hutchins, go ahead and unmute yourself.
All right. Happy New Year, everybody. I just had a real quick question. Can you the next meeting we have, leave the chat open? It's a good way for everyone to communicate with each other and also to get to know each other as core holders.
We can, and I don't necessarily mind it. We got some feedback last time we did that it was distracting, and people felt like it was detracting from the sort of the meeting to have these sort of sidebar conversations. Doesn't matter to me either way. I'm happy to keep it on. If that's something you feel strongly about, then I'm okay with that. So I appreciate that comment, and we'll try doing that next time and see how it works.
Alrighty.
And Nick, and I know you got to hit the road. So I will try and take over for the after this next one. And thank you, Nick. I appreciate your work.
No worries. Tetra's Galaxy Note 10 Plus, you're up.
Sorry about that. I don't know why I didn't put the name. This is Ron Mitchell. I hope you're all doing well. I'm with RMJH. I know you guys have been really busy. Thank you guys for getting this done during the holiday season. I hope you guys' New Year's are going well. So I do have a couple questions for you. Actually, one I think was answered kind of by the last individual, and that'll be for Paula, but I'll follow that up. But for Zara, one, while we had you here, I was hoping maybe that we could schedule a time to personally speak with you about some of our current roadblocks that are preventing us from our ability to operate as soon as, one, that loan program actually rolls out. Two, there's just specific roadblocks with CUP that for some reason still hasn't been completed. We haven't really been able to speak with anybody in the city due to the current COVID conditions. So I was wondering if you have a time that maybe you would be willing to set aside just for like maybe 20 minutes to be able to speak with my business partners tonight.
Sure, I'd be happy to. You have my email address, right?
Let me just ensure. I'm sure it's Zara Cruz at.
It's zcruz@cityofsacramento.org.
Okay, Z Cruz at City of Sacramento. All right, perfect.
All right.
Emailing you there, and then the second question, but like I said, I'm pretty sure it was actually answered. The entire 125 for Paula, the entire $125,000 loan disbursement needs to be completed or granted by August. That's correct, right?
Right.
Okay, perfect. I think that's pretty much everything I had today, guys. I really appreciate y'all. You guys have been very, very informative here, so thank you so much.
Thanks. You take care of yourself, Ron.
All right, you have a great day. Thank you. Bye now.
So now we're going to go to Jay Johnson. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hey, how's it going? I just wanted to make a comment on the RFQ. The first question was, when we're loading in the RFQ, I think it was Zara who stated all we have to do is simply input our email. Well, I was just concerned about like the security of that, like, because if someone knows our email, they could go in and mess up our RFQ submittal and trash it or try to mess it up. And then the other part was looking at the scoring of the RFQ plan. And then in the business plans, it says staying 51% core in the business while also profit sharing. I just wanted to have clarity on what the profit sharing meant on that issue.
Sure. So last first, on the profit sharing issue, we just want to make sure that the core participant isn't a straw man, right? Isn't just a figurehead, right? So the idea is that if you're a 51% owner, you're getting 51% of the profit. If you're a 75% owner, you're getting 75% of the profit. So something commensurate, but at least that you're getting 51% of the profit. We don't want you to be a 51% owner and getting 2% of the profits.
Got it.
Okay, and then for your first question, so basically how it works is that if you're on the same computer, smartphone, whatever you're inputting on, it will remember you, and it'll basically, when you go back to it, it'll ask you if you want to sort of resume. If you haven't submitted yet, if you want to resume, and then you'll click on that, and it'll take you to a place where you can input your email address. And it'll email you a link that you go to. So as long as no one else has access to your email address, you should be okay.
So it's based off the email address. All right, well, I guess I could just make another, but they email us the link. Got it. All right, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so let's now go to, oh, second. Sorry, people,
Davina, I can actually stay right now, so I can take over and get back on it.
Okay, if you have a few minutes to stay.
No, I do, for sure. Jamila Johnson, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hey, how you doing, Davina? I got a quick question about the 50% ownership. She was scrolling down a little bit too fast. Did it say that we needed to agree that we will be 51% owners for 10 years?
That's right. So the permit has to be 51% core owned for a period of 10 years. And that's something that the council, the city council required. So the 51% is, yeah.
So, okay, so let me get this right. This might be a new one. So if I come in at 51% and I get this up and going, right? And let's just say in a couple of years, I want to retire. I want to get the hell, I want to move. I don't like what's going on here. I want to move. Can I sell, transfer, whatever you want to call it, my 51% over to another core person so that 51% will stay in the core? Think about it.
So there's layers, and that's why I'm kind of like smiling. So I would say under our current rules that yes, you have an ownership interest in your business and you can transfer that 51% or 25.5%, whatever you have, to another core member. The wild card, quite frankly, is that there is currently a moratorium on ownership changes for storefront dispensary owners. So if you've got a store, if you're operating a storefront dispensary, like you're permitted and you're operating, there's a moratorium on changes in that right now. That's not going to apply to you guys because you're not operating. So, that's not really an issue that we're seeing. But 10 years down the road, let's say the rules stay the same, nothing changes, then the idea would be that, yeah, if you wanted to convey or transfer your 51% interest, your ownership interest, you could, as long as it was to another core person. If you wanted to do it to 2 people for 25.5, you could do that as well.
Okay. What happens to that license if it's not a core person and I just want to be out of it? Is that just that license forfeited then?
At that point, the city would look at revoking the license at that point. Yeah.
Okay.
But honestly, the license would be revoked, and then again, as it's written now, that available permit would go back into a core RFQ process.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, but no, I appreciate the question.
All right, Raquel Brown, go ahead.
Hello. My question is just about the portal and the submission process. Is this going to be like a first come, first serve? I mean, like a first come, excuse me, I'm not feeling well today. Is it going to be like a first come, first serve type of situation with the processing? Or is that window that you guys have given us, is that like the window for the submission period?
That's absolutely right. It's not first come, first serve. There is nothing that helps you for applying, pushing that submit button at 12:05 tonight. In fact, I think that might hurt you because you're probably going to be doing it too fast, right?
Right.
We really want people to kind of like open it up, take a look at it, review it, don't press submit, think about it. And then, that's why we went extra long with our question and answer period, because we want people to ask these questions. A lot of the questions that are being asked now are the ones that we anticipate getting, things like that during that question and answer period. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't wait until, the last day at 11:50 because I'm not that much of a gambler personally.
Right. Either.
But yeah, no, take your time, look at it. And then again, we're also giving you one chance to, once you press that submit button, you will get a copy of what you submitted. And if you're going through there and you're like, oh man, I totally messed up that part, I want to change it. Then you get one chance to sort of redo that. So you do have one kind of redo chance, but just review that very, very well. And again, the whole idea of being able to create it in a Word document, personally, I like the spell check of that. And then put it into this the screen door is going to be helpful. And if your character limit is over, it'll show up in bright red underneath. It'll tell you you've got 1,800 characters and you're only allowed 1,500. So at that point, you can just delete it all, go back to your Word document and kind of edit down further if you need to.
Okay, and then I think my last question would be, I know Zara walked us through, and I appreciate her, going to the portal to kind of give us a screen review of kind of what it would look like. We won't be able to upload the documents, looks like, right? Well, we'll be like going in and writing out what we need in those areas, in those boxes.
So there's both, right? There's things that there are areas where you're going to be writing in or copying and pasting in, and then there are things that you're going to be uploading. And the screen door function only accepts PDF. So things like your budget, we know that's probably, that could very well be in an Excel sheet, right?
Yeah.
So you're just going to have to transfer that Excel sheet into a PDF document and upload it.
Okay, so we will have the abilities to upload those type of documents. That's what I was yeah, that was my question. So thank you so much.
So there's a couple places. Just be aware when you're looking at those uploads, there are page limits there. So just be aware. I mean, I don't think it's anything too outrageous. I think like our budget is like 2 pages.
Oh, okay.
Maybe 1 page, 2 pages. A letter of recommendation to upload, we're looking at 1 page for that, or maybe it's a max of 2. I don't know, Zara, I feel like I'm not telling the truth here. Do you remember what the page numbers were on any of that?
It might just, I think she left already. Remember, I think she had to take off.
That's
yeah,
okay.
it might be on there. I'll double check that. But thank you so much for bringing that up, because all of those are things that can, make sure that you're doing it right. So
Yeah, and that's and just I appreciate you bringing it up because it is an important thing. The Screen Door app, it'll as I said, it'll show red and it won't let you submit if your character limit for the areas where you input is over. But for those areas where you're uploading, it won't say you've uploaded 5 pages and you're only allowed 2.
Oh, okay.
Conscious of that. And I see Zara. Hey, beautiful
Yeah,
background.
I'm still here. Yeah, so for the cover letter and for cover letters, 2 pages, everything else is 1 page.
Oh, 1 page. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Making it easy. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Appreciate the questions. Okay.
Right. Ariana Van Alstine. You can.
Hi, thank you again for being here and staying late, answering questions. One of them was already answered about the PDFs, and the questions where we can answer with that are responses. Those have to be pasted and can't be uploaded. Is that correct?
Has to be either typed in or copied and pasted into the boxes. That's right. If it's
okay.
There are places though where you can upload, where you're required to upload documents like the budget, the cover letter. Those are uploadable things.
Okay, thank you. And is there a PDF of the entire application that will be in the portal so that the applicants can review the process in its entirety prior to going into the portal and answering each separate question, so that we can review and say, we know that this section is 3,000 words, or this section is 2 pages, or this section is 1 page?
Yeah, so the PowerPoint we did, including the PDF that Zara shared of that Screen Door, that's all going to be posted on our website.
Okay.
So, and it's in the place where we normally post those on the core website.
Wonderful, thank you. And then the last question is perhaps a little bit more in depth. The core ownership, the percentages and qualifications, I want to make sure that I understand correctly, and that the ownership is, as I understand, that even though applicants can apply as an individual, they can also apply, that a business could also apply, provided that the core participant has the 51% ownership and profit sharing. Is that correct?
Well, a business can apply, but the issue is it's got to be an individual making application. So so if I'm applying and I have, Davina's Cannabis LLC, right?
Right.
I will be the one applying, and the permit will be held, by me at least in the beginning.
Right. So my follow-up question to that is that, I know that a number of core participants are partnering with other individuals who have existing businesses either inside or outside of cannabis. And some of the qualifications that they'll have will come from those individuals as well. So for example, a person may qualify as a core participant, but might not have the depth of retail experience that their partner has. Will the city consider the qualifications of the other individuals participating in the business?
So I think that's really going to be, I think when the evaluators review it, I think the issue, quite honestly, is going to be, if, again, I'll use myself, if I'm applying and, I'm saying you're my partner, but you've got all the business experience and you've got, all the training and you've got the knowledge and you've got, all this other stuff. The issue becomes, what do I bring? And if I'm the holder of the permit, then it becomes questionable about whether, it's, our partnership isn't set in stone. You and I could part ways in our business down the road. So, I think it just sort of depends how it's, with most things, how people are presenting themselves and pitching themselves, as far as what each partner brings. Like if I'm applying and I bring this to the table, and my plan is to partner with someone who has all this experience, and I have all this, this is what I bring to the table. So I don't know if that answers your question very well. I don't think there's much in there that in the RFQ that specifically looks to a partner's ability, because really this is, you're applying as an individual.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jose Gutierrez, go ahead.
All right, can you hear me, guys?
Yep.
Yes.
Fantastic. Good evening. So my first question is, the way we're going to submit the application is really more of a answer the question within that web app, right? Rather than submitting an entire business plan like we did the last time. Because the last time what I did was I had a business plan that was answering every single one of your requirements. So now, just to make myself clear here, we're answering the question per section on the web app, right? We're not submitting any other documentation like the business plan, but rather we're writing it down on the website.
So no. So as we said earlier, there are sections you're going to be uploading. So like a budget, your cover letter, things like that.
Yes.
Your letter of reference, other things you're going to be inputting. So the specific questions that are asked, you're going to be inputting your responses to that. And really that's just the function of the RFQ in trying to make it as clear as possible to the evaluators. You know, this is the section to evaluate, you know, the proposer on this area. And it doesn't make them sort of have to go through your business plan to figure that where that section is.
Got it. Okay. So then I'll have to update my business plan to make sure that I can just copy and paste it to the website, right?
Okay.
The second question is, I know that some of the core applicants are applying and they possibly have somebody who's backing them up. Is there a way to figure out, or maybe it doesn't even matter, but how do we know that they're not being backed up or sponsored by one of the owners of the top dispensaries, storefront dispensaries? Like, because if that happens, then that becomes quite unfair to everyone who doesn't have that kind of backing. And now we're giving another dispensary to someone who already has one. They're just going to own a little less.
Yeah, so, you know, I mean, I think the code changed in 2019. So, and when I say code, the Sacramento City Code changed so that, and it specifically prohibits moving forward more than one ownership of a dispensary. So if there's an owner, you know, so if I currently own a dispensary or I have a, you know, 20% ownership of a dispensary, storefront dispensary in Sacramento, if I invest in you and we are partners, I risk losing my dispensary license by doing that.
Okay.
And I potentially risk losing yours too, right?
Right.
Both are potentially forfeit.
Okay. Well, thank you. That was my concern. Appreciate it.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What do we got here? Fernando Carwego.
Yes, I just had a question about the video. I wasn't here for the first portion, the first hour of it. Will I be able to go back online, see if it's uploaded online, to go check it out, see the first portion?
Yes, we'll provide a link to that on our website, and we usually do it the day after, so that will be available. The first hour was about the loan program.
Yes.
Yeah, so that will be available. The PowerPoint will be available as well as the video.
Awesome, great. That was it. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, John Long, go ahead.
Hey, how are you guys doing today?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Okay, so with the RFQ, wanted to ask, even if we do go ahead and get the dispensary permit or license and we get approved or we win the license, how long do we have to hold on to the license in order to get it operation, getting it actually up and running? How long will you give us to get it actually up and running? Like, is it 1 year, 2 years? Because I know Modesto, they only give you 6 months.
For you, Mr. Long, it's 1 month. No, I'm kidding. No. We are not Modesto in many ways. No, we're looking at, I believe it was 3 years. Zara, am I lying again? I think it was 3 years.
Yeah, honestly, I think that's way too long, but yeah. Okay. 3 years. The other thing I wanted to ask is, I'm sorry, I just forgot all the questions that I had for today. So I do apologize. Can you guys get back with me? I do apologize. It's been
We'll
a long
try.
day.
We'll filter you back through and see. Why don't you put down your hand and then put it up again, and that'll sort of put you back in line.
All right, do apologize.
No worries. Thank you.
All right.
All right. No, Pineda, forgive me. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi guys, it's actually pronounced Noe.
Noe, perfect, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for trying though. I appreciate the effort as always. I wanted to say thank you, obviously, you guys for holding this. This is really informative. We've actually gathered a lot of information from this, and I'm also part of the UCA, so I just wanted to kind of outline the fact that we wanted to talk about the chances of kind of your chances of winning if you were to apply with several entities on that with you, the core members, and it seems like it doesn't really affect in a positive or negative way, as long as the members that are on this are getting that 51% ownership. But ultimately, I just wanted to confirm and verify that if we did all apply separately as opposed to one entity, that if we all did score high enough, hypothetically, would we be able to get several licenses individually as opposed to one together?
Yes, so that's what, so that's the idea, is people are applying as individuals. So if you and I, and I'm looking at the names on my screen, Nick and Zara and Christine, if we all apply individually, but we want to go into business together, and let's say 3 of us get those permits or the opportunity to apply for those permits, then we either make choices about who we're going to partner with, because, you know, if there's 5 of us, you know, you can only have, you can't be an owner of more than one. Or it may be an opportunity. Maybe you decide that, you know, Nick and Carol and I are going to go off and join together in our business. And for your permit, you're going to open it up and you're going to have 10 people all take a, you know, an equal share and do that. So, you know, it's really up to you where you want to go. It's you're the master of your fate at that point.
Awesome. That's really mostly what I wanted to clarify. I really appreciate you guys doing this tonight. And thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Zion, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yeah, so my question is, let's say 2 of us are a core participant, and we're trying to get dispensary license and we're going as a partner. So how is that 49-51% work? Can we do 50-50% since we both qualify for that? Or still one of us has to be 49, one of us 51? And what guarantee, do you see what I mean?
Yeah. So as long as you're, if I'm understanding, as long as both of you, let's say you and I want to go into business and we want to be 50-50 partners, as long as we're both core members, we're fine, because we're 100% core.
Okay.
Or if you and I want to go in and be, you know, again, 25.5% owners, because then that would equal 51%.
And if we bring in investors, let's say we are core participants and we bring in investors. So do we have to, is it okay we are 100%, but we're sharing like maybe let's say 20% or 30% of for those investors?
So yeah, so at that point, you know, if you're 100% owners, you know, if you've got an investor, then who's a 20% investor or a 30% investor, then that would be considered, you know, as long as you're still over that 51% of core profit sharing, core ownership, you're fine.
Okay. And then the other thing I was going to ask you too, do you think, I mean, is it a practical deadline what you're giving us, especially for all these specific things that you gave us to come up with in February? And do you think that is realistic? What are you basing on when you came up with this deadline?
So we looked at over 7 weeks to apply. We talked to economic development, our partners over there, as far as when they do their grants and how long they keep those open and allow people to respond. We also talked to our partners in the procurement division and looked at their tools to kind of see if that would work better for us. Procurement, they usually keep theirs open, I believe it was like for about a month, 4 weeks, depending upon the good they're trying to, or the service they're trying to get. And with the grants, again, it was sort of similar timing. So we thought we were more or less doubling the time that the city normally provides. We're past the holidays, so there shouldn't be a lot of distraction from that. And so, we felt that it was a good amount of time. We did extend the question and answer period. Normally that's no more than 2 weeks. And so we've expanded that significantly, again, to allow people to sort of take a little time, digest the questions. And then if there's any questions they have about them, they can ask them. So that was the goal of that, is really to kind of provide this sort of format in a written environment, so that, if someone couldn't be at this meeting, for example, they can log on and see the questions and answers as people come up with them in the future.
That's fine. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you. Bruce Franz, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, Davina. I just wanted to see if you guys could put up the link to the portal again that you had on the your slideshow that you had. You had the link to where the portal would be at.
So the portal. Oh, good. The portal isn't live until 12:01 tonight.
Okay, so like the PDF that Zara was going over, that won't be available till then either.
So the PDF that Zara shared, that will be available. I think it's going to be available tomorrow. How long does it take us the website to update, Zara?
For the video, we're going to, because it takes a lot of time to upload into YouTube, but I can post the link to the RFP now. I mean, no, not the RFQ, the PDF. I can post it now.
Okay, and where would that be posted at?
So it will be under stakeholder meeting. So
Okay.
on the homepage, just click on the stakeholder resources, and it will take you to the stakeholder meeting. So I'm going to do it right now.
Okay, thank you.
It's like magic. And again, that the link that's going to go up, it's going to be on the core stakeholder website too, and that won't be live until tonight. And you don't get any extra points or anything for being an early bird. Just FYI.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Billy Adams, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hello, ladies.
Hi.
You guys have done a wonderful job. It's been very, very informative. And I'd also like to say that every time I email one of you all, you guys always get back to me very, very fast, and I really appreciate that. Miss McBride, she does a great job, and so does Mrs. Groves.
Groves, yeah.
Groves, okay. So I just want to say that, and I've been listening, and I don't have any more questions because every time I have a question, someone answers it for me already. So I just want to say thank you all.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I know Paula and Tiffany do too. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All righty. Brandon Bolton, go ahead.
Oh, hello, Davina, just me again. I just wanted to just ask this last very quick question in regards to just more clarification under, the groups of people. I just wanted to get clarification that we won't be penalized for having those same items, like a business plan, like the marketing analysis, because just with the scenario that we spoke of earlier, where, one person may have these skills and another may, have the other. I think that would be great because we've been kind of pairing and trying to find, people that don't have skills in different spaces and, building coalition around, a pretty strong team that we thought. No worries if we have to go in as individuals, but what we would just want to ensure is that all of this data and models that we've been working on for, like I said, months based off of other working models the city has been, kind of sending out. We just want to be able to not have to, like you said, like Zion just said, hey Zion, we don't get, February is not a lot of time, and to have to redo all of these business plans, you know, because we've all been working on them. We've all had eyes on them. Marketing analysis, it's unfeasible. So I just want to ensure that we can have identical, like completely identical business plans, marketing analysis, professional recommendations and references. So I just wanted to, just get clarification on that.
You can, you know, it is your choice. You need to realize that, you know, as the evaluators go through, you know, they're so, you know, they're going to see 2 or more, it sounds like from what you're saying, they're going to see 2 or more submissions that are going to be virtually identical. So you just need to be aware of that. So I don't know the evaluators, so I don't know if they're going to say this is really good, and it's seeing it really good twice is even better, or I thought this one was good, but seeing second, does that mean it's canned and off the shelf, and what's going on? You know, so I'm not the evaluator. I don't know how they're going to see that. But I just encourage you to put what you believe is your best foot forward, and I wish you and everyone else tons of luck.
See, the reason why that response doesn't work for me is because like I'm saying, we've been working on these models for months, you know, like the city has been dragging their feet, and we shouldn't be penalized. Like I should not be penalized if you guys should send instructions to those evaluators then and say, hey, if you see the same proposal twice, it may be cookie cutter. It's not, because we're spending a lot of time on these proposals and making them personalized together. We should not, you know, that scenario shouldn't have to happen. Like, oh, if they see this business plan 1 to 3 times, we should not get penalized for that. And I think you guys should be doing something to ensure, now that we have to absolutely apply as individuals, that doesn't happen, because now what do we do with that work? You know, like we have day jobs too, and you know, we put so much time, energy, and some, you know, not monies yet, but a lot of time and sweat equity into these business plans as a group. And just hearing you say that, you know, we don't control what these evaluators may see, like it's incredibly worrying. So I definitely would like, you know, if you guys could send any recommendations to the evaluators on like, hey, potentially some core members may be in the groups, please do not penalize them for doing so. But I just feel like you guys really aren't trying right now. Like that was that's really how I feel.
Well, I hear what you're saying, and I understand that's how you feel. I think at this point, you know, we are encouraging people to apply as individuals, and have people sort of put forth their individual strengths. And so, you know, if in your proposal you talk about like, this is me and this is my individual strength, and I plan to, you know, group up with a group of other people, and this is what they're going to bring, you know, you can do that. So
yeah, I understand on the qualification side, you know, on the qualification side, yeah, that will all applications will look different because we've all have different experiences, you know, life experiences. So I understand that part. My part is when we get to the operational side of things, you know, that those evaluators will be looking at, as I'm going to, you know, continue to say and reach out to the council on, is like, we have been working on these business plans, marketing analysis, pro formas for a long while together, you know. So I feel like now in that scenario, if I have a group of say 3 people, for example, who gets to be the person to keep that business plan? Now I have to have someone start a new one just so they won't get penalized, because you can't assure me that we won't get penalized for using the same information that we've all put sweat equity into.
But I'm not saying you will be penalized either. So I'm advising you to put your best foot forward. And if you feel that is to have submissions that are similar, then go for it. If you feel that doesn't show in the best light,
but you can assure me that I'm not getting penalized for that. That's where my issue is, because we put a lot of time into this. So if you can assure me that using the same business plan on our individual applications will not harm us from getting that license, I mean, don't I now have to maybe prepare for the other scenario? Like, and I only have what, a month to do that? I mean, now
you have a little over 7 weeks.
Okay. 3. I mean, a little over 7 weeks. You know, like it's just very, very worrisome with this process right now. I will say, I want these licenses to come out, but I will say, as is, I think this is as we've heard from public commenters, this is kind of we feel kind of a bit confused about that part. A lot of the public commenters are, I can tell now, in working groups, which I love because that's how we maximize the spread of the wealth from these licenses, is not have 10 licensees. We have 30 to 40 members owning these licenses. So I just don't see, you know, how the city is really trying to, you know, spread the wealth from these licenses to the community in that way or fashion. I feel like it's a really lazy approach. And I feel like this is why we need an oversight committee, which I get, you know, kind of have started those channels, but continue to get shot down. Like, I think that this would allow a committee to have eyes on this. There's a lot of folks like Malachi, like myself, others in this space, Zion, who would have gotten in front of this and said, no, we don't really agree with that, but we weren't able to even have contact, you know, with the community or the city for over the holidays. So I feel exactly what Malachi is saying. I'm in support of what Malachi was saying. And John Long told me to wrap it up, so I'm gonna wrap it up.
Well, again, I appreciate your comment. You know, I can tell you that I have a standing monthly meeting with UCA. I have a standing monthly meeting with Malachi of Cal, you know, UP. I think everyone knows I've had meetings with a lot of people. I'm happy to meet with people, talk with people. So, you know, we are available. That's all I can kind of say at this point. I'm sorry you feel like you weren't heard. All right. Nick, are you still around to go to the next one, or should I take over that? Okay.
Nope. Devin Wardlow, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Evan, are you available?
Going twice.
Yes, hi. Thank you so much for your time. This has been very helpful. I really appreciate it. I have one question. If someone has a pending application to participate in the core program and is accepted for the spring core program, will they be eligible to apply for the RFQ?
Yeah, so it doesn't, yes, you will be. It doesn't, sorry, I'm like repeating myself here. You have to be core eligible. So you have to have that letter of communication from one of the core facilitators, GSOL or SAC Asian, showing that you've been sort of certified as a core member. You don't have to have completed your course with GSOL or completed, you know, your classes with SAC Asian or done their consulting stuff. So yeah, as long as you have that to upload and kind of show that you are a core member, that's all you need.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Ryan Moore, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for everybody for being here. Just quick clarification on, I'm hearing a lot of groups entering into these submittals as individuals. Now, if a particular group has multiple individuals who are awarded the licenses or permits, and they decide not to branch out and still only operate one dispensary, what happens with the other awards that aren't being utilized? They'll be put back into the RFQ process, correct?
So I'm not quite sure what you're asking. There are 10 possibilities for storefront dispensaries that are available, to 10 permits that are being put up and made available. People are applying as individuals, right? If people decide that they're going to, you know, if I'm applying, you're applying, but we both know that we want to do business together. You know, if both of us win the opportunity to apply for one of these permits, we won't be able to group up unless I somehow say, or you say like, oh, I don't want mine after all, I'm going to just go with him, because you can't have ownership of more than one.
Right.
So is that what you're asking?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking, because I'm hearing a lot of these groups, they're going to go ahead and submit multiple entries as individuals, but they're operating as a group, right? So it's just increasing their chances of winning a permit. So if in the likelihood they are successful, multiple members of the same group, and they win more than one permit, but they don't want to actually use more than one, they can almost refund that back into the RFQ process and allow somebody else to.
They could potentially. Yeah, I see what you're saying. They could potentially do that. I tend to think what may happen is that they may just decide to kind of go off and do their own thing, right? So if you and I, as I said, if you and I go in together, I'm applying, you're applying, we want to go to business together, but we end up both winning that opportunity. One of us would either have to decide we're giving it up, but you know, if you're the permit holder, you're the one with the power, quite frankly. And if down the road, a year from now, when we're trying to open, you decide you don't want to be partners with me anymore, you know, that's an issue, because unless we have, you know, legal documents saying otherwise, you are the permit holder.
Right, and that's what I'm thinking. Like, it sounds like a lot of these groups have been working together for a long time. So it's like, you know, it's in their mind to establish a company and run it together. So having to apply individually and having multiple members of their group do that to increase their chances of winning, and then all of a sudden they do get multiple awards, but they're still, their only goal is to run one company, one dispensary. But, you know, hypothetically, 10 members of a group, they all submit their individual applications. They win the 10, but they want to run one dispensary. What happens to the licenses that they will not be using because they're not going to branch off and start their own? They want to stay together as a group. They want to run that together. They can give back the additional permits to you to be resubmitted to the RFQ process.
They could sort of, you know, sort of say that they don't want to, you know, they don't want to do this. And then it would basically go back into the RFQ process. So yeah, I tend to think what would happen is, you know, it's sort of like the divorce would happen, right? And then they would sort of say, let's pursue our dreams separate, you know, pursue our dreams together, but separate, right? So you would operate, you know, Ryan's dispensary, and then I would operate Davina's dispensary, and, you know, we would be friendly and collaborate when needed on, you know, staff training and stuff like that, but we would have separate businesses.
Yeah, that was my initial thought too. I appreciate you taking the time to answer. It just sounds like a lot of people's, I guess, plan of attack might change, since a lot of people are just now finding out that they're applying as individuals and not as a company or an entity. And so since there's going to be multiple entries for one entity, there is a potential of a multiple award, right? And so it's like, now, you answered my question. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Mindy Galloway, go ahead.
Hi, Davina. Thank you for your work for this application. And sorry, I had to step away for a second. So if my question has already been answered, let me know. But I had a specific question about the investment. So I know before in previous versions, there was kind of a topic about having like a letter or knowing who your financial partner would be for the dispensary. And I would like a little bit more time to kind of vet and, you know, pick the right and the perfect partner for when that does happen. So do you have to name in the RFQ who that person is going to be, or can you just submit financials such as a budget, the anticipated amount of money that you would need, and then how you would use that money?
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. I think we're not requiring that people, you know, say that they have $1 million guaranteed investor or anything like that, and it's me, you know, nothing like that. I think the closest question that we get to is when we ask you to talk about sort of your business structure and how you intend to retain that 51% core ownership and profit sharing for 10 years. Because then you're going to want to talk about, well, you know, I plan to sell 30% of my company, you know, for investment, and that will give me the working capital as indicated in my budget, you know, something like that. But we're not expecting names. We fully expect that people don't have investment, that they're just kind of looking around, and that's okay.
Okay, awesome. And then my next question is about the evaluators. Is there a timeline for the evaluators? And I know that there is a discussion on the business plans and groups and what that looks like. And so, you know, under the way that my mind thinks, it's under the assumption that if it is a scored and graded thing, if that different people submitted the similar plan, that you would just get scored in the same way. Is there any way that those evaluators would be able to communicate like what they would consider to be like, okay, that this doesn't qualify, or like if any part of, you know, the plan or anything like that would be subject to disqualification?
So you know,
well, not necessarily disqualification, but not, you know, it will, I mean, multiple business plans would have to be accepted or else they wouldn't be accepted, right? So it's like kind of black and white. It's either one or the other.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, I think it's just like, you know, different people have different views. Some, you know, I think, and again, I'm just conjecturing, right? That different people are going to have different views as to, like, this is an A business plan versus an A- business plan, right? So that's why, you know, you want that expertise in the area. You want the people who kind of understand how it works and how cannabis works and how startups work, to provide their expertise in looking at these. I don't, you know, believe there's going to be any disqualification. I think a good business plan is a good business plan. You know, so I don't think that's of concern. So yeah,
Okay,
if a good business
awesome.
plan gets you know, the maximum amount of points, and there's another one that's just as good, right? Or you know, if business plan A got the maximum points and business plan B comes along and it's the same, then it seems like it would get the same number of points, right?
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you for your answer. Do you have a timeline for the evaluators?
So yeah, so in our timeline, it talks about they will get them. We're hoping the 22nd of February. That's our goal date to convey those off to the evaluators, and then our tentative date for them to be done is March 15th. We do kind of asterisk that because we understand that depending on how much material everyone submits, that it may take a bit longer to get through them. So if you've got, you know, 150 people submitting 30 pages each, that's going to take some time.
Yeah, no, it's understood. Awesome. Thank you, Davina, and thank you, Nick, for your time.
Thanks.
Thank you. Up next is Daniel Taylor.
Yes, hello.
Hi.
I'm actually just still having a hard time finding where will the application be on the portal. I know it's not coming in till 12 o'clock tonight.
Yeah, so I can show, let me pull up a page and I can show you our website. I don't know how familiar you are with it, but it can be kind of sometimes hard to look up. So give me just a second, I'll pull that up. If you want to hum some music to do our waiting music. Okay, let me share my screen here. Here we go. Okay, I hope you can see that. It's a City of Sacramento page.
Yes, I see it.
Okay, so you can see that that's our core web page. So you see, what the heck is going on there? There's a storefront dispensary RFQ.
Okay.
Okay, is it flickering for you guys or is it just me?
It looks fine for me.
Oh, okay. So
it looks good to me.
Okay, for some reason my computer is flickering on and off. Hold on. So you see there's a storefront dispensary RFQ link on the left-hand side.
Yes.
So when you click on that, that will take you to where you need to go.
Okay. Also, is there any contact information for you that I can have?
Oh, contact, yeah. I'm
Okay.
D.S. Smith at cityofsacramento.org. And our kind of general question line is cannabis at cityofsacramento.org.
Cityofsacramento.org. Okay, so and with this application, now should I be trying to apply for any licensing during this process, or do I just apply with the application?
Yeah, so for if you're interested in doing a storefront dispensary, then this is your way forward for that. So what happens is you're going to apply, you're going to do your statement of qualifications in response to the RFQ, and fill out the form on that link and input all the stuff. And then if you are one of the 10 that's chosen to apply for the permit, then we will contact you and we'll kind of say, this is the form, these are all the forms you have to fill out. This is what you have to do. You have to get a location that has a CUP. You have to apply for your BOP. You have to do all of that. So this doesn't shortcut any of that. It just is making available permits that haven't been available.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And you said it was D.S. Smith?
Yep, yep. D
Oh,
as in Daniel, S as in Sam, Smith.
okay. And also, earlier back when they were talking about the loan information or whatever, um, I heard you guys say that you will be able to assist us through some of this process, just as far as like helping us out with like the business plan or little things like that. Did I hear that correctly?
So for the loan, when you apply for a loan, they are requiring business plan. They're requiring a budget, a use of proceeds statement, a lot of those things. You know,
Okay.
and it sounds like they are willing to work with people to go through that process.
Okay, so then that would be the lady who spoke earlier.
Yeah, so that's Paula Groves.
Okay, I think I have her email.
Mhm. I think it's Paula at elevateimpactsacramento.org, I think, .com.
Yeah, I think that was
Yeah.
it. All right, that's all the questions. So as far as the location, how should I start to look for a location? Would that be more beneficial or?
No, I mean, it's so you're not going to need a location to fill out that RFQ form to submit your SOQ. If you're one of the ones that's picked, you will eventually need that. You know, you'll eventually need a location. But it honestly, to me, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to put yourself out there for rent when on something that you don't even know that's going to happen yet.
Yes. All right.
Okay.
And this is Paula. I just wanted to give you my correct email address.
Oh, thank you.
Sure. It's Paula at elevateimpactsac.com.
Impactsac.com. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Paul.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right. Well, that was all my questions. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks. Oh, and Daniel, I'm being reminded by some folks in OCM that it's my email address is DS Smith. If you just do D Smith, you'll get someone else in another department. So, and you'll wonder, why does she ever respond?
All right, I got it. At cityofsac.org, right?
Yes,
All right. Thank you guys very much.
thanks.
You. All right, Prashante Bailey. Oh, sorry. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hello, good evening.
Hi.
Hi, I didn't even know if I was still gonna be able to get that question answered. I forgot what I originally wanted to ask, but now that I am on here, I did have a question from the last class about the payments as far as for the loans. I think one of the things that I was asking about was whether or not after we make payments to the loans, if we are being able to have those payments reported to like creditors and credit bureaus so that we could get potential credit growing in our businesses, so that while we are also still trying to get money and funding and, you know, all of that from you guys, we can still grow business credit and be able to take our
Right.
own credit and grow, you know, from other banks and other capitals and things like that. So I was just wondering if that's something that's going to be implemented in the program moving forward, since this is the first time that you guys are doing this. I do think that it's a great way to help us start. I've had a business and I've never had an opportunity to get a zero down, you know, zero interest loan. So this
Thank
is
you.
really a good opportunity if you know how to orchestrate and organize a business. So
Yeah, we can look into that. One of the reasons we haven't implemented that yet is because we weren't sure. We don't want our candidates subject to negative credit scoring. And we were concerned that if there were candidates that did not want, and I didn't know if we could only do it for certain candidates, because there's some people who don't want their payments reported to the credit agencies for a number of reasons. So I wasn't sure if we'd be able to just do one person at a time, or if or if it was an all or nothing situation. And I also didn't want to do anything that was going to negatively impact people's credit going forward. So there's just a lot of nuances that we have to get comfortable with before we are able to implement that. But that has been a question we've been asked before, and we are looking into it.
Okay, thank you. And I
Yeah,
also wanted to know for manufacturing businesses and cannabis, are the requirements as far as for like the loan max still the same if it's just an individual?
yeah, the maximums are 125 per individual or 125 per company.
Okay, and so if I'm doing a shared licensure through a manufacturer, is that considered my lease for you guys? You accept that as far as for a lease?
Yes, I mean, I don't want to say 100%, but that is a scenario that is under consideration by us. So submit what you have and we will make a determination, but I'm 80% sure that it's going to qualify.
Okay, because I had a whole ancillary business plan that I had to like switch when I heard that you guys weren't going to be able to give us funding for those businesses. So now I have that, and I just want to make sure that as I'm finishing things, like it's something that can be done because I would be going through a shared facility.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes. Why don't you go ahead, Davina?
Oh, I was just going to say, Prashant, and I think I know where you're talking about. For a shared facility, a lot of times, you know, if you have that operating agreement that says like the hours are going to be there, things like that, that kind of, I don't want to speak for Paul because she's the, you know, the financial person and the one who is our gatekeeper on keeping us good here. But, you know, that operating agreement sort of a lot of times does kind of is leasey, is like a lease. Right. Would you agree, Paula, or?
Yeah, and yes, and I'm always, as always, we're using Oakland as the model, and they are just now implementing their shared facilities situation. And so if there's a model contract that we want to adopt for San Francisco, for Sacramento, we certainly will, but our intention is definitely to allow for, you know, people to submit their shared use contracts as a lease. I just need to make sure that I understand what all the terms of that are, and I just don't have them top of mind right now. But it's our goal to make that happen.
Okay, thank you. And I've already shot you an email as well, so I will just look forward.
I'm afraid to look at my inbox.
No, it's all good. You guys have done so great. I'm grateful for this class, and I just encourage everybody to just know that like sometimes you got to scale it back if you don't know what exactly you're trying to do in a new industry, a new business. Like funding is available, so if you can learn how to utilize a small bit and grow that to something huger, you wouldn't even look, you know, towards getting more loans in the future. So that's something that could be helpful.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Reggae Brown, go ahead.
Good evening, Davina. Thank you so much for keeping such late hours. We appreciate
Well, thanks for hanging with us.
Absolutely. My question is in regards to the feasibility sustainability rubric matrix. It was mentioned before that in the previous stakeholders meeting that there would be some additional scoring for the upstart plan within a 1 to 2 year, possibly 3 year startup. Is that still being factored into the business plan mechanism, scoring mechanism?
I think, you know, I think that's something that people, again, I'm not the evaluator or the evaluators, but I'm guessing that would be kind of an exciting thing for an evaluator to see. And that's something you probably would want to talk about in your business plan. So you know, again, not the evaluator, but if it were me, I'd probably dive into that.
Okay, I know in previous conversations it was broken out separately. And at City Council, it was talked about individually, but today it wasn't mentioned and I didn't get a chance to see it as we scrolled through the PDF. So just wanted a point of clarification there.
Yeah, and I think that PDF is listed now on, let me see, is it posted on our website? I believe it is. I'm just checking. Yeah, I think it is. Yes. So,
excellent.
Oh, no, it's uploading. Sorry. Uploading. I'm getting the circle. So give it time. It's uploading. Apparently the city's website doesn't work so well after 6. Who knew?
We know. Thank you so much.
Thanks. You take care.
Bye for now.
All right, thank you. Jared Hill, go ahead. Going once.
Jared Hill?
Hi, sorry about that, Davina. Thanks for taking the question. I think you might have answered this already,
And it was to Brandon Bolton's point about groups sharing documents. If we can't submit as one entity, we submit as 11 individuals. If we have the identical business plan or pro forma or market analysis, is it fair to expect that those would end up scored the same?
Wow, sorry, that I don't know if that was mine or yours. Again, it seems to me, I think evaluators go through these things one by one, right, to evaluate and score. I think that if they look at business plan A or SOQ A and it's scored a total of 95 points or 70 points or 50 points, whatever it may be, and if they see one that's substantially similar, then I think that it's fair to say that it's going to be graded similarly. I think so that would be my expectation.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Good luck.
All righty, Abraham Perez, go ahead.
Oh my goodness, I can't believe it's my turn. I'm sorry. So thank you for taking my questions. I'm kind of a little late in the process. So how many people have already qualified, or how does it all work? These RFQs are the ones selected are the ones that are going to get the licenses, or is this just 10 RFQs selected to go into another batch of people that are going to apply for the license? I'm a little.
No, that's fine, and thanks for your patience in staying on the line until we're able to get to you. So how it's going to work is for core applicants, they're getting the opportunity to respond to this RFQ, this request for proposals. So core applicants will be submitting that SOQ, a statement of qualifications, by answering the questions and kind of uploading the documents that are requested in the RFQ. Out of those, everyone who applies, all eligible people who apply, there's a group of evaluators who will be evaluating and scoring those SOQs. Once those are scored, the top 10 scorers will be given the opportunity to apply for a storefront dispensary permit. So all the normal permitting requirements are still going to apply. You're still going to need to find a location, get a CUP, do your build out and tenant improvements, apply for your business operating permit from my office, give us your insurance certificate, get your security, so you can do all of that, right? And then, hopefully open and operate and be successful. So that's kind of the path.
So just to confirm what you said, all I have to do is submit a statement of qualifications that receives a high enough score to be in the top 10, and then I can get my license.
You get the opportunity to apply for your license. What we have seen is a lot of people apply for licenses and they don't make it through the process. Hopefully you would be able to once you're given that opportunity.
I got that. I'm sorry. Hello?
Yes, hi.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
That's okay. We all have lives and people going on. Were you able to hear me, or should I repeat what that?
So I mean, yeah, no. So I make sure that I'm one of the top 10 selected. And then I apply for a license, which is, as long as I have everything and anything I need, then I will most assuredly can count on a license. I'm just not understanding how it works.
Yeah, so what the RFQ process does is basically kind of allow you to apply. There are some RFQs out there that other cities and counties and even other states have done that actually award you a permit. Like you're one of the top 10 and you emerge with that permit, right? And I want to make sure you're not you're not thinking that's what's going to happen, because that's not what happens here. If you are one of the top 10 scorers in the RFQ, you're given an opportunity to apply. So you've got, you've probably got 180 people who are interested in applying for this permit. So you got to beat out all those people, be one of the top 10, and then you start your journey to apply for the permit.
I understand. So, so when I'm applying for the permit, am I competing against other people or just myself?
No, yeah, when you apply for the permit, there's no competition at that point. It's just,
okay, we're good. I got it. Okay, yeah. Super. Yeah. No, I'm good. Then I'm gonna be one of the 10. I'm confident. Thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time and accepting my question.
Well, thank you for hanging with us, and thank you for the question. I appreciate it, and good luck to you, Abraham.
Yes, and I'm sorry. Happy New Year, and I'm gonna leave the meeting now.
No problems. Take care.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
All right, Shiweed Cummings, go ahead and unmute yourself. Shiweed Cummings, Shiweed. Going once.
Cummings.
All right, we will go to Kevin Hooks. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hello, everybody. Like you said, my name is Kevin Hooks. I'm also a core graduate, and I just want to say Happy New Year and good luck to everyone in your journey with trying to make your place in this industry. I just want a really quick extended invite to anyone who is interested in a leasing space for either delivery or distribution. I'm 1/3 of a company called BLK Solutions. And like I said, we're doing a presentation next week, and we want to get anyone interested in that is, like I said, interested in getting some space. So I'll leave my email. It's I'll do the simpler email. It's greatservice@prodigy.net. Just send an email with your name and which core program you went through, whether it's urban development or the Asian Chamber of Commerce, and leave your name, and we can get back to you with a date and see if you guys can make it. And again, my name is Kevin Hooks, and good luck to everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Hooks, and good luck in your business endeavors. So Nick, has everyone had one chance to speak? It looks like we don't have very many left. Looks like there's a couple. Okay.
So we'll go back to Zion.
Okay. Oh, let's see. Who?
Oh, Miko. We'll go to Miko next.
Oh,
okay.
Sorry. So can I go ahead and ask a question?
Sure. Oh, go ahead, Zion.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I meant after Zion. I had already unmuted you. Sorry.
So the other question I have is with the landlords. So we still have to work with the landlords. So for the dispensary, so what is requirement? Do we really have to have a list with them? And then also, if we don't have a list and we don't have no guarantee, we'll be picked for, I mean, let's say 20 people could qualify, but only 10 people can get that dispensary. But we already signed up with the landlords to say, okay, we're going to take that over. We have to pay deposit and all that stuff. So how is that guarantee us the dispensary licensing if we still, working with the landlords? How is that going to work?
Okay, so I think I heard your question, but it was your volume was low. So let me just kind of you're wondering how it will work with landlords on the dispensary RFQ application if you've already sort of got a place or you've signed a lease and you're paying rent and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, because we don't have no guarantee we're gonna get that space, but we have to secure the spot. Do you see what I mean?
I hear what you're saying. So there is no requirement in that RFQ. There's no question there that requires that you have a space or a leased space or letter of intent or any kind of guarantee that you've got a location. Our expectation is that, we totally agree. It's ridiculous to ask people to run around, find a place, rent it, get letters of intent, do whatever you need to do to try to secure a location when you may not be one of the 10, right? So we don't want people to be out that money and go through that mess, right, to try to do that. So we don't have any requirement that you have a location. We don't have any requirement that you have that at all. So that's not one of the questions. So hopefully, you know, that can be off your plate and one less thing for you to worry about.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
All right, Miko, go ahead.
Hey, everyone.
Uh-oh.
Oh, we just lost her.
Nope, I did that. Hold on,
Oh.
Miko, I'm sorry. Where'd she go? Maybe not. Is she still here?
I don't see her. Oh,
there
no, I
she
do
is.
see
Okay,
her.
there she is. Sorry, Miko.
You guys, what y'all trying to do? No, I'm just playing. I'm just playing. Okay, so so I guess I wasn't really clear as far as what the tiebreaker would be. So if it's 100, you know, the score is 100. You get 100 people. That's, you know, gets 100. What's that tiebreaker? Is that like the lottery type of thing, or I guess I just wasn't clear with that.
Yeah. So it's written in the resolution for core, not for core, but for the sort of what you do with the RFQ process, right? That was adopted by the city council. And what it says is that in the event of a tie, if, you know, and again, this is only going to count if it's number 10, right? If there's only one permit available, there's going to be some chance-based determination of how that will work. So that was the city attorney's insertion. And my understanding is that the city attorney will provide further information on what that would be if that happens. My hope, of course, is that it doesn't happen, because how horrible is it that, you know, you and I were both, you know, tied for number 10 and we have to flip a coin or pick the high card or something like that. That would be awful. We should just go into business together, Miko.
Right, I know. Let's do it. No, I guess that's what I'm just kind of confused about, is because there's a lot of people that obviously is going to apply. So how are we, if we all have the same points, then how are we going to determine, you know, who qualifies up to that 10th license to where, you know, we flip that card, I guess. So I guess
well, you know, again, I think there'll be enough differentiation between the points.
Okay.
You know, I think, you know, that there will be, for the most part, there won't be any issue with it. If there is, then it will be some to be determined, you know, flipping of the coin. Again, I'm finger quoting because right?
Okay, well, I appreciate it. Thank you guys for all the work that you guys do, and God bless.
Thank you. You have a good New Year. Good luck too.
Thank you.
All right, Ryan Moore, go ahead.
Yeah, this was for Paula since she was still here. During her presentation at the loan approval stage slide, I thought I heard a comment about an insurance broker, and I was just wondering if I misheard that or what that role would be.
So I don't remember mentioning an insurance broker. The question is, at what time is insurance going to be required for the loan? And I apologize, I'm going to have to go back and look, but I don't think we require insurance until I think we do require insurance because the loan amount is greater than 25,000. So let me look that up real quick and get back to you on when the insurance is actually required. I apologize. It's completely slipped my mind.
Sure, no problem. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
All right, so I can say it's 6:14. I see that we have Kevin Hooks, John Long, Bianca Towns, Anthony Bonnet, and is it Cladonia Pritchard? So I think those are going to be our last calls, and then we're going to put our tired brains down and eat some dinner. So let's have those. It's like Cladonia Pritchard will be our last. Nick, if you're still down for the count, then we can continue, or I can continue if you need that.
No, Ryan Moore.
I think he just got his question
Okay,
answered by Paula. Yeah.
Perfect. All right, so John Long, go ahead.
All right, finally. I'm sorry.
Get you to write your questions down.
Yeah, no, like I said, I got a lot going on. for the most, at the end of the day, like it's whoever has the best business plan wins. And whoever, however the outcome of the best business plan, whether it's copied or not, that's what you guys are going to go off of, correct?
So the business plan by itself is worth less than 10 points. So it's all of those categories, right? Like your letter of introduction is worth 10 points. Your reference is 5 points. Your budget is 10 points. So all those come together to sort of put your ranking.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha. Okay, so with that said, it's not just the business plan, it's everything encompassing that, the application that you guys have put together, basically. And so whoever has the best situation is gonna, score high enough to, get ranked 1 through 10, basically, and win those licenses. And that's the case, correct?
So whoever scores the 10 highest scorers will. So I just say don't leave any points on the table. Don't neglect any categories. Fill up every single box with meaningful, edited, relevant stuff. On your letter of introduction, talk about who you are and your story and how the war on drugs affected you and why you want to be a dispensary owner and things like that. I just don't leave points on the table. Take everything you can. Take no prisoners. Go. Now I'm getting loopy. Sorry. But like don't give up. Just do it as well as you can.
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna.
I know you don't give up.
I don't give up, and I'm not gonna be pulling any strings with anybody else. So y'all better have your A game. The second thing is if everybody wants to group up or talk or congregate and talk about the RFQ, they're more than welcome to come to my establishment over off of 725 K Street, Sky Cloud. So I'm just leaving that open to everybody because I know, a lot of us don't know who each other are. So if you guys want to come over and congregate and, meet each other and so forth, it's open on the table. My location is 725 K Street and it's Sky Cloud. Just ask for John or Jay. And basically, I'll take names down and, put everybody in contact where we can all figure out, where to go if we have to do something alternative to this if we don't get the license. So just to let you guys know.
Thank you for that input and that offer of your space for people to congregate. Thanks, John. All right, I think we have, is that Bianca Towns, Nick?
Yep. Go ahead, Bianca.
Hi, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm, yes.
Hi, okay. So thank you so much for staying past. I think you had your other employees leave around 5, and I do really appreciate all this news and all the patience that you had with us. And I know that it seems like listening to a few people and their frustrations, I know it probably can be a little bit not challenging, but a little bit difficult to deal with at times. But their frustrations are valid frustrations. I'm looking at it from a different perspective. I am going to be setting forth on I've completed the core program, but there's still a lot of work that I need to do on my end, which I'll be moving forward so I can, qualify and apply for the loan, and then also for the storefront dispensary. My question is actually some of the first presentation that we had that was by Paula. I wanted to find out first is there a way that I can get a hold of that actual presentation? Because there were some things that I wasn't able to take notes on that I was taking notes on. I think it was one of the slides on there. So I don't know if you guys post it on your website or where I can actually look at the presentation if I need to get anything off of there specifically. Is that available to me?
Yes, it's my understanding that Zara is going to post the presentation on the Sacramento website tomorrow, if it's not already there. But that was my understanding. Davina, did you have a different understanding?
No, that was my understanding. As long as you're okay with us posting it, Paula, we would love to post that. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay, great. And then the other question that I had was about, I want to say throughout this presentation, I heard, and I don't know if it was just, I wanted a little bit more clarification. There was a part at which, and I don't know what area this applies to, but I thought I heard somewhere that someone mentioned something about if somebody owns another cannabis business, that would disqualify them. What would it disqualify them from is my question.
So it's not if you own another cannabis business. It's if you have an ownership interest in a cannabis dispensary, a storefront cannabis dispensary business in the city of Sacramento. That would disqualify having an ownership interest in another one.
Oh, okay, I see. So it just has to be actively if they are actively have interest in another storefront dispensary. Okay, and that was really all. The only two questions I had. I think you guys have been really clear on a lot of things, so I really do appreciate it. And then I think I know Paula. Is there? I haven't been able to write down her email address because I'm actually traveling to at the same time. But is her website available? Is her email available on the website? Or is there like a follow-up email where you can include her contact information?
Yes. When you're breaking up, hopefully you can hear me. When you download the presentation, it'll be the very last, my email address, actually all of our email addresses are on the very last page of the presentation. I've also put it in the chat. Oh, you said you were driving. And if you have any problems finding me, you can just go to the website, Elevate Impact SAC, and you can access me through the contact link. I can tell I'm getting tired. I'm sorry. You can access me through the Contact Us button on the website, or if you have Davina's or Zara's or Christine's email, you can email them, and then whoever you did the core program with, whether it was with the Urban League or the Chamber, they also know how to find us.
Okay, and I do have another question. I am interested in partnering up with other core members, but my question is there already a place that's established that maybe I'm just not aware of, that like maybe other core participants can talk about what their strengths are? So as I'm finalizing my business, working through my business plan, that I could have, if I feel like somebody would be good to bring on board in certain areas, is there a place that we can talk to, or is there like an open space that I know the gentleman before he offered his location, but I don't know if there's already some type of place that we can communicate with each other that's open to all of us. I don't know or is it just by who you happen to know? It sounds like is what I'm feeling that's what it is, or I don't know if you have any more information for me about that.
Yeah, it's a lot harder now that we're in COVID times, and we can't, because I think having people, we've talked before about having sort of just like a core mixer, right, where we just kind of put everybody together. Because the other issue is even if you went through GSOL and the people in your cohort, or you went to SAC Asian and you were in classes with people, or you had trainings together or something like that, you didn't necessarily know the people from the other core facilitator organization. So we have talked about wanting to get a space, maybe just even like a council chamber or a conference room at the city, where we could all just kind of sort of be like, this is the mixer, everyone talk and go off into corners and chit chat and get to know each other and things like that. We just haven't been able to do it because of the pandemic. We've talked about trying to do it virtually through like breakout rooms, and we're still trying to figure out like how that would work. But I think it's a great idea, and I'd love to do that. So I think that's definitely something that's going to be on our list to accomplish as we move forward. So
when you say breakout rooms, what about like when you I don't know if there's a way to set it up to where you can have maybe different, there's a time and a place, date that we're all going to be, let's just say, I don't know if Zoom's capable of this, but we have a Zoom meeting, and then there's, like you said, breakout rooms that we're all talking about different topics. Maybe there's a room that's specifically maybe for people that are looking for, help with investors. Maybe people are looking for help with, getting some tips on maybe working with other core members as part of their business. Those are just some of the ideas. And then whatever your interest is, you can, jump into that group. Maybe you want to leave that group, go to another group. That's just an idea. I don't know if that's something that is possible or not. But.
Yeah. No, I think that's something definitely we're looking into, we're interested in. I think we'd have to make sure that people understand that, we're not promoting or not promoting anybody, buyer beware, blah, 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 right? But just that it's we're supplying sort of a virtual meeting space. But I think it would be an interesting thing to do.
Okay.
Great.
Well, thank you so much for your questions. For answering my questions. Thank you so much.
And I just wanted to jump back on. I did a little quick research, and insurance is not required for the core loan because insurance is required as a part of the BOP permitting process. So I'll go back and check the slides to maybe make sure it wasn't a typo, but we are not requiring insurance for the core loan because you will have to obtain it as a part of the other BOP process associated with getting a permit. Okay.
Thanks, Paula. Yeah, and I think that was
you're welcome.
Ryan Moore who had that question, but it looks like he's still on the call, so hopefully he heard that. But thank you. And thank you, Bianca. I appreciate your comments and your questions. So thank you, and I hope you get to where you're going safely.
All right, thank you.
Alrighty, Cladonia Pritchard, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hello, hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Hi, my name is Cladonia Pritchard. I have a question for both of you. Ms. Davina, my question for you is, I have a great business plan. Well, in my opinion, it's great because it took me a year, but it's geared towards cultivation and manufacturing. So would I need to write a whole new business plan to submit for the storefront facility?
You would, yeah, because that is really geared towards showing that you're a good candidate and to be a successful storefront dispensary operator. Yeah.
Okay. I just I was hoping to kind of slide in there just so I could do a business plan, but no. Okay. I was just asking. I pretty much knew, and my other question is for Paula. I have a few questions. One, like in area 3 of the loan application, the first question asks basically about, it says to become a verified equity applicant, which is required to qualify for the loan, you must first apply for a City of Sacramento cannabis permit. So I have to apply for a cup before I can apply for the loan, because in order to apply for the cup, I have to have a property, like a lease, or at least a tentative agreement for a lease, right?
A letter of intent.
Yes.
Well, we agreed that if you do not have a location, you can still apply for a loan, but you can only get $25,000 because we wanted to provide funding so that people could secure a location.
That's what I was going to say, yeah, because I really want the money to get the location. Right.
But again, I'll have to go back and reread the language. I think the question is, we want to make sure that people are selecting locations that are zoned appropriately by the City of Sacramento. And so I need to make sure that it's not a requirement that you have a COP, but what I need to go back and check is, are we going to require that people have at least applied for the COP or have identified the location? So again, let me do a little bit of research and get back to you on that. I don't know if I'll be able to get back to you on that tonight, but I will definitely get back to you.
But from my understanding, I can't even apply for a CUP without a location or at least I'm calling it tentative, but you said the right word. Somebody at least
letter of intent,
a letter of intent, right?
Right.
And on the application, I can't get past this page without putting in that information.
Got it.
So I can't get any farther with the application without putting in this information. Yeah.
Right. So what you can do in the interim is what can you do? You can send me an email and I'll work with you to make sure that you can finish up your application, because I don't want that to be the holdup. But we, you know, recently said that it would be okay to apply for the 25,000 without a location identified, or maybe identified, but without a lease is what I'm trying to say. And so I need to make sure that the application allows for that scenario. And I don't know that it does right now tonight, but I'll have to fix it. But can you shoot me an email?
I will.
Great. Thank you.
And another question I have is, do you have to have applied for your license with the state, like for the LLC, or for like you know, for your business license, like under the business name and stuff, in order to get the loan? Because it asks a couple of questions about that too.
It was
Secretary of State filing for a business entity showing its name of the entities in good standing.
Right. Right. And it was our intention that people who had applied for the loan had set up their business entity. And you don't have to have a LLC, and you can apply as a business as a sole proprietor, but we need to make sure that you have some sort of business entity or business structure in place in order to move forward with the loan process. So that's what that is getting at. So, but send me an email and I can have one of our underwriters work with you on how to make sure that you have the right legal structure in place. It doesn't have to be an LLC. It doesn't have to be an S Corp. It doesn't have to be a C Corp. You definitely can apply as a sole proprietor, but I just want to make sure that you have all the right documentation that will allow you to do that.
Okay, again, because no, it does make sense. I just want to know, because again, these are things that are on that same page, and these are things that are asterisked as required, so I can't move past these. So I just wanted to get a better understanding. Okay, that was all. Thank you.
And
I appreciate
please, send me an email and we'll work with you.
Okay, I will. Thank you.
Thank you. It looks like our last question lowered his hand. So Davina, that was it.
Okay, great. Well, I just want to thank Paula for hanging out with us much longer than you had agreed to. So thanks for taking one for the team. Definitely appreciate it. And yeah, for the 56 people who are still on the call, appreciate you guys hanging out. And that includes my staff. Thank you guys for the ones who were able to stay. It was nice of you to stay. And everyone else, I hope you learned a lot. Hope you got to have your say and help figure out the process. Again, it's going to open at 12:01 tonight. No extra points for being the first to apply. Take your time. You've got a little over 7 weeks. We have a couple weeks for the question and answer period. Look forward to working with you all on this, and I wish you all the very, very, very best of luck. I'm excited to see this happen and for these 10 new permits to go out there. So best of luck to everyone, and Happy New Year. Have a good, everyone. Bye.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.